We are. For a long time, I have said this about one of my favorite bands. If AC/DC and Lynyrd Skynyrd had a baby and Guns N' Roses was their babysitter, and there may be some or one of the gentlemen from that band on the whip tonight.
Well, hello, boys and girls.
Hi.
What a wonderful day it is today in our money-based economy.
It sure is.
Well, sit back and relax and get ready for the guy who's about to ruin everything.
I'm puzzled. Are you really seriously suggesting that Jesus Christ was a mushroom?
Wayne, Jesus was a mushroom Roberts.
Hello.
You are dealing with a secret cult, a secret society.
Welcome to Waning Interest.
Welcome to the Waning Interest Podcast, number 119, August 12th, 2023, the Babbling Dabbler, smallest click on the internet, the pinball brain in your favorite machine. It's like a diary or a book, especially this chapter's fucking gonna be awesome. But not as stale, obviously, or coherent. From a more mentally challenged Forrest Gump, or from a guy whose belly keeps rumbling. Must be the PBR. Didn't mean to do an ad right there. Some people don't know what that means. Hopefully a lot of you. If Mikey and Mouth from the Goonies played a lot of bareback leapfrog and then the aristocrats. Anyway, I'm not going to spend much more time being a douchebag by myself. I'm going to show one of my favorite drummers what a douchebag I can be for the internet with his presence, because it's going to be way more fun. Pat.
Wayne.
How do, sir?
How do? Finally we get to do this.
Yes, I was all pumped for the other night, and then to go, wait, we messed up. So what I did was
Time zone thing.
So what I did was I did a little Back to the Future thing, and I pre-recorded 120, and that's where I bust your balls for a little bit. So but don't.
Excellent. I love it. That'll be the good one.
This finally happened, and this is very exciting.
Cheers, definitely.
And you are in Los Angeles?
Los Angeles, California. Yep, it's not too bad heat-wise. Just a little bit of little taste of New Orleans happening outside with the humidity. Not as bad, but it's not. It doesn't slap you in the face, but it's still terrible to breathe. Terrible.
Yeah, we had it for about almost 2 weeks. It felt like we were in the Mississippi swamps talking about speaking of Skynyrd.
Yeah, you guys got it bad. I shouldn't really be complaining because the humidity hits. Yeah, LA gets bad things, but it's not as bad as the East Coast. They get it twice as bad.
It's been put it this way. It's been a super wet summer, and I haven't had any women.
Yeah, right.
Sounds muggy, huh? And there's a reason why. I stayed away from it because everybody's now you can really smell everybody's BO.
Yeah, right. It's time to bring back the mask. God, mask mandate. Fuck, man.
Oh,
People
dude.
stink. It was so nice for a couple of years. It's like being like next to people like at work. It's like, I mean, not where I work currently, but just like, God, this person smelled for the longest time. Now I don't have to like endure that stench. And then the masks come off and everybody stinks. It's like, God, or they either smell worse or they're using way too much. Like, it's like, dude, CK1 was meant for one, hit it once, not like, 1,000 times. And especially in the elevator. God, jeez.
Oh my God. I love that. I'm not. I was going to go somewhere, but no. It'll take me off on a too many tangents.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you and me both.
All right. So I should probably start. Where should I start? Well, first I should start with everybody should right now. You can go. Well, the link is in the description of everywhere you're listening or watching. Junkyardblues.com, BLOOZE, and get yourself one of these.
Yeah, we got some of those. I think the new one, the 35th anniversary, we're
Yeah.
promoting for next year. Since we kind of sold out of we did the tour in California.
Yeah, with Chris.
With Chris in California. We also did it as well in Texas, and so we did the special edition shirts and posters for that. And go figure, we actually sold out of everything, and we had some left online. And I think we have maybe one left or something like that. But we're kind of gearing up
I
for
think
next year.
I'm pretty sure that's for me now, right?
There you go. Yeah. What size are you? We can figure something out.
All three of mine are mediums.
There you go. We'll figure something out. But yeah, we're kind of we're in the process right now of it's kind of exciting. It's the calm before the storm, with next year being the 35th anniversary of the first record. So we're show wise, everybody keeps asking us why we're not out this summer, and well, because we're kind of we've got, with the 35th anniversary happening next year, we got a new album that we're working on. We're going to also be doing a live album, the live album is going to be what we did with Chris recently in California and Texas. It's basically going to be the first album in sequence with about 4 extra songs on the backside of it, probably like some stuff from 6s, 7s, 9s. So we're going to be recording that at a private event in November. So that'll be coming out. We really don't know when that's going to be coming out for next year.
I'm invited now, right?
It's a California. Well, you're invited, but not all expenses. Can't cover your flight. We can cover your bus.
Like the Little League World Series. God damn it.
Yeah, there you go. It's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Hey, come on out, man. Bring everybody with you, but it's $10,000 a piece.
It's so disgusting.
But you're in. You get the Yeah, I know.
God.
So yeah, we're doing the live album. We're doing the studio album. Actually, we started working on that during lockdown, and that was fun. And it was difficult because we're emailing files back and forth. So basically, the way that we do that is Tim, being the main songwriter, gave the ideas, emailed the ideas, and then David would listen to it, throw his lyrics in, and every time there would be a break where cases went down back then David would pop down, do vocals, and then go back up when David was living in California. So during that whole lockdown, we actually gathered about 10 new songs.
Sweet.
And they're pretty good. I mean, it's Junkyard, obviously, and it's basically it's really the main follow-up to High Water, because we really didn't do a proper follow-up to High Water. We kind of we did a single. We did the Lifer single that came out a couple years ago, and then we did the Old Habits Die Hard. But that was all from that older era of Junkyard, not the modern era of Junkyard. So we're looking forward to really, throwing the new stuff out there. So that really covers that for the album stuff, for the new material. Tour wise, we're looking at next year hitting as many places as we can in the United States. We want next year to be as busy as we were in 2018, 2019, where we were doing about 65, 70 shows a year. So we're going to try to get back. Of course, all of that being said, it's, next year, it's a tough thing, because sometimes we can't hit those 60 to 70 shows just because it's, promoters don't want to take a chance on guarantees and stuff like that. So we're going to, unfortunately, some places we're going to be able to go to, some places we're going to be able to maybe have to hold back for a bit, but we're also planning to go to, the plan is to go to Europe. We'll see if that happens, but we were going for a bit to Spain. So we're going to try and hit back to Spain. And around all of this, we are working on a book as well as a documentary.
No shit.
So it's all so there's, like I said, the calm before the storm. This shit is going to hit the fan in January. It's like, we're just, all of next year, we're going to be really busy.
Dude, a book and a doc.
Yeah. And the book, it's funny too, because the book is really the book we had just talked to the publisher about it. And he made a good point. He's like, well, the book is a great companion to the documentary. So it's like, we wanted to release the book next year, but I think we're just going to wait until 2025, because it's going to take a while to do the documentary. I'd imagine, then again, we haven't had the big meeting yet, but it's basically an agreement between us and Acetate, and we're gonna, it's about time to tell our story, in glorious 4K.
Son of a bitch. It's it's weird to think about because, like I think I told you before I hit record. Um, I told you that I sent a message. I think it was
Right, yeah.
2018 or something. It would take me too long to do the scroll. Yeah, if you guys need any help with blah blah blah, and I should have sent it probably through the website. I don't know, but it was just whatever. And if I had been how things the documentary and the book would have already fucking happened because I would have made it happen.
Yeah, I don't know because we weren't involved with Chris at the time. So.
Oh. Well,
So
I would have made that. I would have
this-
made that happen too.
I don't think so, but
I'm just,
that was a personal thing between us and Chris.
Oh,
A manager would have mucked it up.
Oh.
But no, I appreciate the yeah.
Speaking of Chris, or one of the original
Yeah.
guitar players of
Yeah.
Junkyard, is he doing any of that writing? Has he done any bit? Oh, awesome to hear. And what
Basically-
about Brian?
About so the writing on the new album, like I said, we got a lot of that material kind of almost there, but it needs fine tuning. We've told Chris, definitely send what you've got because the more the merrier.
Fuck yeah.
There will be some Chris Gates on the new album for sure. But I mean, basically, it's kind of like what we've told a couple people before. It's like when you see Junkyard, when you see an advertisement for Junkyard going forward, definitely next year, it's going to be the 6 of us on stage because of the 35th anniversary that we're celebrating. But going forward, we're just assuming Chris is going to be with us. And if he can't make it, then it's just going to be the 5 of us, the modern Junkyard.
Oh, so Brian, no Brian?
Oh, Brian, no. Well, Brian's job is, he's got a pretty good day job that he can't, get away from. But
that bad religion thing?
Yeah, they said, somebody said they were going places. I don't know. But no, also, I mean,
I've seen him.
Brian,
I've seen him. I saw him with you, and I saw him with them. So I do like that. I've seen him with both.
Yeah,
and they both were in there a long time ago.
Oh yeah. He wrote. I mean, we. That's a good thing about Baker on High Water. I mean, he's got co-writing credits on at least half of the songs. On this new stuff, I think it's more of the same. So I think he's got about half on it. He sent Tim a lot of ideas. So it's one of those things that's if we're gonna pull resources, we might as well pull from our from people we know and have history with, and that we're in the band.
And that's one of the that's one of the cool parts about this is that it's an anomaly of a story.
Yeah,
where you know 2 guys that haven't been in the band for the longest, and and I know that there was some other things, but still that's and it lends itself also. It's like it's kind of like all these guys that it's like you guys were like the Skinner thing, but you weren't in the accident and nobody died. Well,
yeah.
Sorry. Well, yes, it's now, but
yeah,
you're Leon. Yeah, but it was a lot longer. It took, it wasn't like it happened for them. There were differences. I did a podcast once about the synchronicities that I see of Guns N' Roses and Skynyrd.
Right.
But in one of the ones where it's not, where they totally differ, is that nobody died in Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's almost like you, but anyway, that whole AC/DC thing. Oh, and then I learned through the Stone. I'm gonna hopefully be doing a podcast with the Stone Roadie. I don't know if you know who Craig Reed is.
God, that sounds familiar.
Craig Reed is he's the part of the crew in What's Your Name, Skynyrd. He's the crew that got in the row in the hotel where they got booted out of the bar. That's a true story.
Oh, gotcha.
He was in the plane crash, and he was one of the survivors. He went on to work with, Jesus, where did he go on? He went on to do Roadie's Journey and worked with other people after that. But recently he started doing a podcast and doing things to raise money for a handful of the survivors that are still alive that, dude, talk about getting boned. Kind of like how you guys got boned in your music, where
Yeah.
all your music gets used on a TV show and all the money goes to the fucking record company. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know.
How disgusting.
It's like, oh well.
Well, these people didn't survive this rough plane crash, and I think Craig said, Craig Reed, he said he got like $45,000.
Really?
Right. And so some of these people have been ailing for many, many years. So his
Sure, yeah,
podcast, he throws all that money and donations, he throws it all and splits it up between like
That's so
5
cool.
that are really having it rough and how
Right,
always
right.
have. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
what was the point? Oh, Skinner, ACD. Oh, listening to the Stone Roadie podcast, the
Mhm.
Stone Roadie show, and he's going to be on here, and I'm supposed to be on theirs as well later on, maybe. But according to him, AC/DC, before they hired Cliff, they wanted Leon Wilkeson.
Really?
After they did a bunch of shit together. They had a
Really?
bunch of, they wanted Leon for fucking AC/DC.
That would have worked, actually. Thinking
Yeah.
about it,
And it
that
would give them a
would've-
little extra
yeah.
funk too.
it would have gave it a swing. I mean, AC/DC.
Swing funk, yeah.
AC/DC has a swing. That's
Yeah.
so funny. It's like so many people, I think, when they think of AC/DC, it's like everybody refers to 4 on the floor. It's 4 on the floor. It's AC/DC. It's like, no, man, they got a fucking swing, man. It's an underlying swing that
Malcolm.
I think, Malcolm. It's that, and that's, I mean, rhythm guitar players. I think my favorite guitar players are rhythm guitar players.
Izzy
You know, it's-
Stradlin.
Malcolm. Probably the fastest right hand in the West would be Brian Baker. I've never seen a guy, downstroke chunks so like. And I mean,
He's so fun to watch.
first time I met Brian was oh my God, I think I was 15, and a band that I was in was opening up for Minor Threat at a place out in the Valley in Chatsworth,
Yeah.
and I think it was the second time Minor Threat had been here, and the band that I was in was for all intent, it was I don't know if you remember that clothing company Lip Service. They had like it was a hip clothing company at the time. I think they were the first people to actually make like tight jeans that weren't like Levi's, that were breathable. He basically went over to London and ripped off the stretchy jean idea, took it back to California, and then every person in LA was wearing it. Anyhow, that guy came from a hardcore punk rock background. So the band that I was in was a band called America's Hardcore. It was basically the California version of Minor Threat, except I told the guy straight up, I'm like, well, I drink. I'm 16. I don't give a fuck. I drink. I have a fake ID. I'm going to drink. And he's like, okay, just don't say anything. So we get this big show opening up for Minor Threat. And we're hanging out by our van, and Brian's hanging out by his, and he walks right by our van, and I had a brown bag, and he walks by and he's like, hey, got another one of those? And I'm like, oh, really? and of course I was like, well, I do have another one, but I'm not going to give it to you. But so we started chatting from then. We started chatting. I was like, you want to sip? Yep. But it was just funny that, because honestly, that was 84, 83. 4 years later, 5 years later, we were in a recording studio together, recording an album. It was strange to think about that, I don't know if it was necessarily coincidence, but
Synchronicities.
Synchronicity. I got really lucky because being born and raised in LA, and starting off playing jazz drums lent itself to playing in every punk rock band that needed a drummer. Because having the jazz background, from 12 to 13 years old, you figure out song structure pretty quick. Punk rock songs, well, they're great. They're not that hard to figure out. I mean, if there's a third part, then you're talking about like, everybody's like, oh, stop the clock. Wait a second, third part. But so that's what got me a lot of gigs. On top of it, I had access to a car. Old skateboard friends of mine had a station wagon, so they were always looking for some way to get out of the house. We were 16. Let's throw the drums in my car, go play a gig, or they'd take me to rehearsal, or what have you. And so I got really lucky with that. And I played in probably I think there's a lot of bands that are saying that I played with them that are coming back. I don't remember. And I feel bad because I'm like,
Whoa, that's a lot of brown bags.
I'm like, man, I played with you where? I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. Did I record anything for you guys or anything? They're like, yeah, we did a demo. I'm like, well, okay. But
I've had people send me commercials where I did the voice or I did other thing or something that I did on camera, and they'll say, "Oh, I saw you that." But I don't remember doing it.
No
Oh my
clue.
God! Holy shit! Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and no, and you're right, and it's in your face, and you're like, well, like what the hell? But I think at one point when I was right before me and Todd started playing together in 1980, in 1984, I had log time with probably about 25 different bands,
Jesus.
and right before I got in the band Decry with Todd, I was in 5 bands at the same time. It was if I wasn't gigging every night, I was rehearsing. If I wasn't rehearsing every night, I was working, and if I wasn't working every night, I was delivering the LA Weekly down on Melrose. It was just I was young enough, and I was also skateboarding too, so I was young enough and had enough energy to do all that. And then finally, when I got in the band Decry with Todd, I think it was 80. It was 84 because we recorded that album in 84. Finally, I was like, I'm done. This is my only band. I got to just concentrate on this. And and at that point, I had the opportunity to go pro skateboarding in 84 and decided, I had skated.
Dude, well, one of the, I thought I know quite a bit about you guys, but dude, new shit. I love it.
I started in 77 or 76, like every other California kid did. And I got really lucky because the family that lives down the street from my parents, they built ramps. That's all they did. And
so then that must mean, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, so basically from 1979 until 1982, I hooked up with them, and when I started getting allowed to go down and hang out with them, and that was like 1980. But it was 3 different ramp iterations, 2 of which were in Thrasher magazine and a couple other skateboard magazines, because basically what we were building in the early 80s, what you see on ESPN now, it was it was a big ramp with a channel.
So my question is Slash. So you must have come across Slash way back then, right?
No,
because he was doing the BMX thing.
No, those worlds really didn't cross paths too much.
No,
BMX.
Sorry.
BMX, they never let
that
BMX.
Would have been so cool to find that out. Oh yeah.
No, wait a minute. I mean, I ran into a lot of other weirdos, but
I'm sure
skateboarding.
Other weirdos,
other kooks. It's funny, man. It's like if you were a skater back in the 80s, you were a kook.
Yeah.
And if somebody calls me a kook now, it's like a badge of honor. It's like, go ahead, call me a kook. It's like at least you remember the name. But so that era, we all got really good skating. And we were, we started getting in magazines as amateurs, and we were entering contests and doing pretty well. And I got to a certain point when I was entering contests, I was doing good. And but then I got in this band, and I was like, wow, this band's going to record a record and actually go on the road. And I don't even know what the fuck going on the road means. Besides, I knew about going to San Diego and San Francisco, and that was about it. But like, getting in a van and going across the country, it was completely foreign to me. So immediately I jumped at that chance, but it was one of those decisions. I had to make a.
How old were you at this point?
I was. That was shit. I think I don't know. I wasn't even an adult yet. I was 17 and a half, 18.
Fuck.
And it was one of those things I kind of just looked at. I was like, I love skateboarding to death. It was during that era when kind of like when it was Tony Hawk had just become pro. He was blowing minds, but it wasn't really Tony Hawk that was blowing minds. It was a freestyle skater named Rodney Mullen, and he was doing this insane stuff on flat ground, and everybody was trying to replicate that in pools and on in vertical and all that stuff. And I looked at, and I came from the era of like, your slasher grinds and like, style, air, stuff like that, slides, not like going up, taking your skateboard and flipping it around 20 times and going down. To me, it was, and this is, I was an idiot back then for thinking about it. To me, it was like, oh, you're doing like, stupid. It's like, I think I called them back in the day, dick tricks. Like, what are you doing dick tricks on the fucking Kobe? What the fuck are you doing? Like, do something, a premature old man, I think. It was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? This is bullshit. I'm 16 and you're 15 and a half. But it was also scary for a lot of skaters. I would imagine that I'm not going to put the words in Tony Alva's mouth that it was scary, but other skaters like original Dogtown guys who could give a fuck, but at the end of the day, they see that and it's like, oh, this is getting, this is getting fucking complex. And at that point, I saw it kind of going the way it was like, nah, I'm out. I'm not doing that shit. I mean, I do what I do. And I did the upside down shit and all that stuff. But I just kind of like said, fuck it. I think music is the way I got to go. I can't do the skateboarding stuff. So instead of doing it both, I just went full blown music.
So before we go to the music, I have to ask though. So you mentioned Dogtown. What did you think of that movie as a person who, was like, whoa, that's the documentary. The documentary is amazing. It is the documentary, Dogtown Z Boys. The documentary is it. But didn't Heath Ledger do a movie called Dogtown as well or something?
Yeah, that was the Hollywood version of it. Yeah.
What did you think of that?
It was all right.
All right.
I don't know. I looked at it.
It wasn't like a Stranger Things for you.
Nah, to me, I watched it. I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me go back and watch the documentary for the real people that are still alive, except for one.
But did they do a good job? You thought, yeah. Because we're talking about music and this kind of thing, and one of the things I hate is when they do one of the things Bohemian Rhapsody did well, of course, is the music part, but the story part, ugh. And it should have been Sacha Baron Cohen, but whatever. And then the Doors one is just. I don't usually watch them anymore because I don't like the performance part. It makes me, because I'm an actor and a musician, well, partially vocalist. That's about it. Well, I play bass and drums too, but a little bit. But anyway, I can't call myself a musician because that's insulting to you.
No.
I'm decent, but I'm not a musician. I can't say that. I'm a jack of all trades, master of absolutely zero.
There you go. No, I think they did a good version of that. I think.
Like The Dirt is like one of the best. The Dirt was even better, I thought, than almost as good actually. But the story now, but I was like, wow, they're doing it. Somebody's finally doing it right with that. Because I walked out of that movie, the Doors movie, angry as fuck. I've never walked out of a theater so mad. And that I didn't
walk out of the Doors movie. We were
30 years ago.
Here's a Junkyard history. It was a tiny tidbit of Junkyard history. We were in the Doors movie.
Get the fuck
You
out
don't
of
see
here.
us, but we were in the Doors movie. The big scene. Basically, I can't remember. They're playing live. It's in a big. No.
At the Miami thing at the end.
I guess, but it was
which is bullshit because he never went out into the fucking crowd. One of the things that made me really mad.
It was what do you call it? I don't know where it was, what it was trying to replicate, but it was shot at the Olympic Auditorium. It was an old punk rock boxing ring downtown LA, and they shot it down there. So basically, it was when they were shooting that movie, we had we had no money. We had a record deal, we had a booking agency, we had a publishing deal, we had a merchandising deal, we had not dime one in the bank. So our manager at the time was like, well, let's figure out a way to get you guys some money. So our booking agent at the time was ICM, which also handled actors and stuff.
My wife.
So I remember going out to lunch. Yeah, we went out to lunch with. They're like, oh, your agent's going to take you out to lunch, and we met with this woman. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're not our agent, Troy. She's like, no, I'm your agent for when it comes to acting gigs and stuff. And I'm like, well, what's this all about? She's like, you're going to audition for movies. We're going to get you in the Doors movie. We're going to get you an audition. You're going to go audition. And if that doesn't happen, we're going to make sure that we're going to get you some work. And I'm like, okay. And I think the only person that actually made it to the audition was Chris. And he auditioned for somebody for a bodyguard part or whatever. It was like, wow, that tracks. That makes sense. He looks like a bodyguard. But then, none of us got it. And they were like, okay, everybody be down at the Olympic Auditorium at 6 a.m. And you guys got a gig for like 5 days straight. And you're going to make like $300 a day. For us, it was like, oh, $300 a day. Jesus Christ. That's like, we could cover our rent for like 6 months, working a week. So what we did is we showed up there, got in there, got in there. We were supposed to be in the primary extra area. And we told them, no, we want to be over here next to our friends, like in general population extra. And we got in there, we made sure that we weren't on camera, and we got a friend to basically voucher us in and voucher us out. And we only showed up for 1 day. So we basically made it was like, we knew we were going to be in the movie. It was like, fuck it, man, we need some money. So we basically, a friend of ours would go to the phone booth at like back in the phone booth. I mean, it's like 11:30 at night. It's like, hey, we're letting out now.
Speaking of the phone booth and the doors, the phone booth
Yeah,
was a titty bar right there. That's what
There
Leo's
you go.
Flowers used to be.
Oh God, Leo's Flowers.
Dude, that's
Wow.
that's part
I
of.
remember a car smashed into that place.
I talked about it on the. Well, I talked about it on an old whip, but actually, it's the whip
Did
that
you?
hasn't come out yet.
Oh, about the car,
The door-
that car smashing in there.
No, but about
Oh.
I did that square, La Cienega and Santa Monica.
Oh yeah,
When-
it's
when I
anarchy.
lived-
Yeah.
When I lived in L.A., I lived in I lived in Santa Clarita for a little bit, and then
Okay.
Studio City for the last 15 years. When family and friends would come to L.A., I would take them on my Doors tour.
Oh, okay,
Which-
gotcha.
What we would do is we'd come over the hill, and then I'd show them, there's the store where the creatures meet, the Laurel Canyon store.
Oh,
And I'd
right,
point-
yeah.
And I'd point out their old apartment, that second floor thing that burned
Oh.
for a bit. Now it's a new building, where him and Pam lived. And then we'd go continue down, and then we'd park it. We'd go into Barney's Beanery, where of course there's the plaque because he pissed on the
Yep.
floor. He used to
Yep.
drink there all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where Janice was last seen in public.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
And
Ah.
there's a connection there too, the way they
Interesting.
died.
Yeah.
Because Morrison didn't die of a fucking heart attack. It was basically like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. He
was that kind of
thought it
thing.
was cocaine and it was China White heroin, because she
Oh,
was
really?
a heroin addict.
Oh,
And the Count,
that'll do it.
dude. The Count. You ever heard of the Count?
No. What do you mean the count?
The Count, Jean de Brosel, I think is his name. I can't pronounce. Basically, he's known as the Count. He's not very well known. He's portrayed by Costas Mandylor in the Doors movie for like fucking 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
In that trippy part where Jim comes in and Pam's in bed with some other dude, and
Right,
it's all
right.
kind of, and she's getting fucking heroin.
Right.
He's playing the Count, which they didn't really do. Anyway, the Count was one of the biggest heroin dealers
Oh,
back
okay.
then
Gotcha.
for everybody. He was Keith's fucking personal dealer when the Stones were on tour. He would stay in Keith's mansion.
Oh man.
Well,
Wow.
he was there in France, and he was with Pam a bunch, like the movie sort of said real quick. That was the other thing. One of the reasons why that movie sucks is because Stone's hands were tied, because the Corson family said you can't show Pam as, she has to be you can't show all the dirty parts.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
So that's why a lot of the story was like, what? That's no.
It's like, yeah,
'cause-
you're like, well.
yeah. He says it on the DVD commentary. Anyway,
Oh, really?
point is,
Interesting.
yeah. So the point is, she had a problem, and that's part of one. Sometimes when they would, she didn't like his drinking.
Mhm.
She didn't like his heroin. He hated heroin. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there was the China White. That's what killed Janice. Just like in Pulp Fiction, remember?
So they thought it was coke,
Remember-
basically. Yeah.
Yes, remember
Yeah.
remember in Pulp Fiction when Stoltz sells Travolta the heroin, he says this stuff is white, it's not, but it's really powerful, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He's referencing the old China White. So that's how it really happened. Was he came home hammered, thought he was doing a line of blow, he loved blow because it let him drink more.
Sure, you can drink more.
So that's what, and that's why, and so she called the Count. The Count came over. That's
Oh, to
why he was in the
revive.
tub.
Oh,
'Cause
gotcha.
remember, they
Okay,
didn't
that
have
makes
Narcan back in the day. That's why
Yeah.
he had. Remember how they always describe he had blood coming out of his nose?
Right. Gotcha.
When was
Makes
the last
sense,
time
yeah.
somebody had a heart attack and their nose bled? I don't see that. Maybe they do. I don't know. But
That would be the 70s. That was the last time.
But it's kind of a trip that I almost was able to meet Quentin, and that was one of the things I was going to say. I was like, is that reference in Pulp Fiction? Because you talk about, are you referencing China White? Because in the way that Uma did her thing was the same as Morrison. Is there something that you are trying to say without saying it? But I never got the chance. Although I slept with a woman that was very close to him.
Well, there you go.
That was as close as I got, brother.
I got.
Anyway.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. The closest I ever got to him was did you ever go to a bar on Sunset called Coach and Horses?
Dude.
It was the north side of the street.
No, it
a
wasn't
little
there by the
bit
time
up from Guitar Center.
By the time I got there I don't think it was there anymore in '04 when I got there. Or '03.
Oh no, it was still there. I
Was
think
it?
closed down. Yeah, it was.
I didn't know
wanna say
about it
closed
until
down.
Doug Stanhope. It was Doug
Did
Stanhope's fucking favorite place. He has
Oh,
stories about
really?
it, about the dude
Oh yeah, the
that.
bartender used to fucking slam junk behind the bar at one point, and I used to go
Holy
in there a lot
shit!
because it was for me. It was on the
Stanhope's
way
gonna
home.
love this.
For me, it was on the way home from the west side, and this was like I drop my kid off, and then I go. I lived on the east side, drop my kid off on the west side, and on the way home, I'd hit Coach and Horses to have a couple of beers and have a cigarette, sit at the bar because I always knew I can't remember when it opened. I think it opened at 6 or 7, but
Awesome.
I think there was time. No, yeah, that tracks. Yeah, 6:30. So it'd be 6:30, right around dinner time. I'd have a beer or whatever, and the guy's like behind the bar. He's like, "Hey, like what?" Like, hold me off. I'm like, fuck, all right. And I'd just be like, this is me. And then I'd just be like holding them off like that. Like, okay, you done? You done? I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he'd just be like, blam. And he's like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh. And then he's just nod out and everything. And I'm like, well, I can serve myself. So I went in there one night, and that was always my go-to place. I used to go meet a lot of people at because it was just centrally located. So one night I went in there, and it was me and
What year is this, by the way?
this has to be 2004 or 5. No, 2000. Yeah, because I was playing in a
Okay.
band with Stacy
when-
Blades, who was eventually in LA Guns or whatever. We
Yeah.
used to go there a lot.
Stanhope.
So,
His Stanhope stories, I think, are mostly.
It could be earlier than that because that's
Yeah,
more
they're earlier.
fluorescence, so,
They're much earlier. I
it could
think
have
in
been
the
the
90s,
90s or even 80s.
90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Anyway,
went
sorry.
in there, and it was completely empty or whatever. And I went in there, and the bartender, I can't remember the guy's name, but he wasn't working. It was somebody else. And I would go in there, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. And I met a friend of mine, Jamie, there, and he can attest to this. So we're in there, like having a drink, and me and him were just talking. There's 2 of us at the bar, 2 people behind us in the booth. And next thing I hear, it's like, hey, around for everybody. And I turn around, I'm like, oh, that's, wow, really nice of you. And I turned around, it was actually Quentin Tarantino. He was there with a chick. I have no idea who it was, but I turned around and I look at him, I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm like, hey, I like your movies. He's like, thanks. I'm like, and that was it. It was like, well, he's on a date. I'm not going to bother him, because I turned around, like, my 15-year-old self is going, holy shit, this is amazing genius. But my 35-year-old self is like, oh, I gotta be cool. I'm like, thanks, buddy, whatever. Like, just like that's Quentin Tarantino. But then again, I guess when there's 4 people in a bar, why not buy everybody around?
Yeah, no shit. Especially when you got his money. I'm not the fan that I was in the 90s. Do you know? Oh, I got to ask you. So you're LA. So this ties in sort of. Shit, which one do I go to first? Manson or Phil Hendry? Do you know Phil Hendry?
No.
No?
Why?
Okay.
Why? What's Phil Hendry?
He was a radio host who had a lot of characters, and he was on KFI.
Oh, he was on KFI. Okay, my old man used to
from
listen to KFI.
97, from 97 to 06. And he was also syndicated. He's done a lot of stuff, other voice work. He's done on camera stuff. Anyway, he's a guy that I did. I worked with him originally in Miami, and then when I moved to LA after he'd left for LA, I worked with him again at Premiere when he was syndicated. The point is, back when we were on the air and when he was on the air in Miami, and I was his backup producer. One of the things I would tell him that I loved hearing when I would listen to the show. I was a fan before I was one of his producers. Is when he would talk about movies, because I was a movie geek.
Gotcha.
And at that time, super geek because of Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and stuff. And I was like, dude, at some point it got to where I jokingly said, and he took it as yeah, let's do it. I jokingly went, and I always wanted to act, but I was in radio, but this was as close I could get. And I went, dude, we should do a scene from a movie on the air. And he goes, how would we do that? You got scripts? And I went, no, I've got a bunch of my movies. Which movie? And how about A Few Good Men? I'll fucking transcribe it at home and
Right.
type it up. And he goes, if you do that, then we'll do it. And I went,
Oh,
I'm doing it. So I
fuck
fucking,
yeah.
dude, it took me. And so the first one we did was, I said, how about the courtroom scene in A Few Good Men?
Ah,
And he went, yeah. So he did Nicholson and the judge and the few lines from Kevin Bacon, and I was Caffey. So I went, okay, and I went home and this is with a VCR, and I fucking play, get 3 words,
Stop.
pause, write it down, and then I took all that right, and then I went to the station and then fucking typed it all up,
Oh my God. Wow.
and then gave it to him. Holy shit, boom, and we do it. Fucking phones lit up, but so and obviously we changed a couple of. No, we didn't have to change any fucks there. I don't think. Yeah, I think Nicholson swears at some point, but
I think there was
dude,
one, but
it was
yeah, it was a courtroom scene. They can't cuss.
yeah, but there is a point where I think Nicholson might say something nasty. And
I
that's
think
one
under
of the
his breath he
reasons.
did something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or oh God, I should know it because I did it so many times. But anyway, so it went so well, and it was because normally it's just him, and that's it. No real
Yeah.
guests. Once in a while, he had a couple of real guests, like Larry King, which is a classic. But
Sure.
all of his guests were his characters, and he had another
Oh.
phone. He had another phone over here that was always lined up, and he could just pick it up whenever he wanted to go to a character. And he'd go, "Oh, Margaret just called in." Yes, and he would pot his mic down. Sorry, my hands. He'd pot his mic down and go into the phone. He'd go, "Yes, Phil. I was listening to you, Margaret. Why are you calling again, Phil? You know how much I love your show, Margaret. Please, you have to. Well, Phil, and that was it. But he had like 12 characters. A couple of
Wow.
female and a bunch of
Mhm.
male. I figured you must have heard him.
And he was You said it was KFI out here in
Mhm.
LA. Was KFI the same station that had God? They had, I think they had Tom Likas on KFI. Was it KFI? Because he started on
KFI,
AM, right?
Tom, yes, KFI is AM. Tom might have been on KFI at some point or another, but there was a point where there was like a radio rivalry because Tom was on a different station in LA at the same time.
He was on
And,
FM, I think.
dude, Phil used to do a thing called Comb Over Boy, and he'd do his own Tom Likas. The Tom Likas show. It's a Tom Likas show. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's a Tom Likas show. It's a Comb Over Boy. No, dude, he was
Flash
doing
Friday.
it.
Oh,
He actually, I think he started doing that maybe when he was in Miami. Well, originally he was
okay.
just a DJ, and then he started doing talk, but then he started doing these character things
Uh-huh.
before he came to Miami, but he honed it in Miami.
Wow.
And
Nice.
at this station that I was at, that I was lucky enough to cut my teeth at, that's when he honed it. And then everybody wanted to. He was doing so well those 2 years at IOD. He went to California within a year or two, not even two. It wasn't even 2 years.
Wow,
Premiere
yeah.
had him syndicated like Rush Limbaugh.
Wow, that's great. Jeez.
But he was really tough to. He was tough to. People had a tough time advertising and trying to get his show across. I was his
Oh, I see.
producer twice, and I just said he's the Monty Python of radio.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Right.
It's
yeah.
actually in a magazine somewhere or a newspaper. Yeah, it's a magazine where it's my quote. That's it. He's the Monty Python of radio, dude. So Miami, we did those movies. Oh, so after we did A Few Good Men. Sorry, this is about me now.
No, I want to hear this.
It is the Waiting Interest podcast. But it ties into the Tarantino thing we were talking about, and then it will tie into more shit. I swear. We're going to get to music in a second.
Yeah.
So that went so well, and he goes, dude, let's do another one. So I went, oh, fuck, what do we do? What do we do? And what did we do the second one? What was the second one? I don't remember. Anyway, we did 3 or 4. The last one, he goes, all right, dude, this is what we did the second one. I go, how about the scene with Walken and Hopper in True Romance? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh fuck! Wow. Oh, gee.
He goes, let's do it. And I went, I go, obviously we have to change a few words, right? So I did I did the same thing, went home, same thing with the VHS, took me fucking hours, but I had a fucking blast doing it, typed it up, boom, we did it. And we did that one live. It was so much fucking fun. Lit up again. And he goes, dude, we got to do this. He goes, the next one we do, I think we might have done the third, but I don't remember. But anyway, the fourth one or third, he goes, we got this one, whatever we do, this one, pick another good one with a lot of that shit. But I want something with has some sound effects, and we're gonna pre-record it so we don't have to change those words, and you're gonna bleep it, and you're gonna bleep it real minimal. And I went,
oh man,
you got it, my brother. So I went, how about the opening scene to From Dusk Till Dawn with Tarantino and George Clooney, the whole thing in the store.
Right, yeah.
So I did Richie, I was Tarantino, and he did the Clooney and the John Hawkes the guy behind the counter.
Man, wow.
Right, one of the first times you saw John Hawkes.
Yeah.
I never said help us. Everybody be cool. You be cool.
Be cool.
Now I hate Clooney, but boy, did I used to be a fanboy.
Yeah, when that came out, I was like,
that was his first
I think it was the
movie
first time I ever saw him
leading
on anything.
role. That was his first
really?
movie leading role. He'd been in some movies, but never the lead. That was his first lead role. And he turned down a bunch of other stuff that was already his thing because he wanted to work with Tarantino.
Ah, gotcha.
He could have been in some other things that were big at the time. Anyway, what's the point? So we go into a studio this time and don't do it live, and we do that opening scene. Fucking goes great. And plus, because we're recording it, I was able to, we could fuck up some stuff and then go back real quick. Yeah. And we did. And then I went, and he goes, now, what's this? And I go, when I typed it up, I also put all the sound effects from the movie. I'm like, what happened? There's the explosion, gunfire, and then 7 gunshot, 3, and then a pause, and then 2, and after this, I put every direction in there, man, for him. And so we just did, and I did all the short bleeps. The shits and the fucks were very slim. Because one of the things that Phil taught me, the first thing he taught me was never ask for permission. Always ask for forgiveness, or you'll never fucking get anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I've always been in detention. 52 years old, and I'm still in detention.
There you go, right.
Anyway, that's why I do a podcast, and I'm not in radio anymore. Anyway, nobody's telling me what to fucking say.
There you go.
Except for Ma. Anyway.
There you go, right.
What was the... So what was the point? Oh, so I thumbed the bleed. So then I carted it up for him. This is back when we were still using carts, and then this is this is 1996, I believe.
Gotcha,
And it might have been 95, but I think the last one we did was 96. The first one we did was 95. Anyway, because 96 was when he left, September, when he went to California, left for California. So I carted it up for him, and he had the whole thing. He had all I typed up, all the direction, and he had all his carts for all the sound effects, and he had the explosion at the end, all the gum, it was boom, boom.
Wow.
And it sounded so cool, and I fucking hate myself for not having a tape of that.
Bummer.
He might, because he owns all of his shit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
People have tried to search for me because I don't pay for his site, but I know people who do, and I went, look for stuff in 1994. There's not that much. Or 94 through 96. But there is some great shit. But anyway, yeah, if you go back and ask some people, they'll be like, Phil, it's great.
Nice.
But that was the Tarantino tie-in. We started with a Tarantino. And
Gotcha, right, yeah.
We
went into coaching horses and the bartender shooting up behind the bar, and then we went into drug
heroin
history. We covered.
Dude, yeah. All right, let's get back to some Junkyard. But because of the LA thing, I never finished my fucking the Doors tour that I was just telling you.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we go to Barney's, have a drink if anybody drinks, and I show them the plaque. And around, show them this is the original. Don't go to that fucking Santa Monica one, even though the food's maybe okay. But the food's better here, and everything's better here. And then we walk over across the street across La Cienega, and then over across Santa Monica. I take them straight over. First we go to the old Doors office, which has been 5 or 6 different restaurants since then. And it's got the plaque out there. It's where they recorded LA Woman. And then that bike shop right there on the corner, the southwest corner of Santa Monica and La Cienega, was a little titty bar that some of the guys would take people over for interviews. Yeah. And then just south of that, on the same side of La Cienega, there's was it Armenian rug place There's an amazing.
Yeah, that used to be right next
Themis.
to my old Simmel company. Avita Zildjian used to be upstairs, and the rug company was downstairs. Yeah.
Did you know that rug place was used to be Themis? That was Pam.
No.
That was his girlfriend's. He funded that. It was her little funky store. So if you ever see
it was
any
a
of
weird inset store. It was like inset off the street. Yeah.
That was he
Interesting.
funded
Wow.
a store for her. It was called Themis. There's some if you
wow.
ever see any pictures of him and Pam where they're wearing kind of psychedelic shit and like on a couch and kind of stuff, I think those pictures are inside Themis, and there's sometimes pictures with other people. That was just down the road, just down the street, so they could. And then I show them that, and then we go back up across Santa Monica, back up La Cienega, and then go Leo's Flat. This used to be called the Phone Booth, and it was a big titty bar. And it's in the movie Highway that he made. If you've never seen that thing that he did, it's not that good, but it's kind of weird, but whatever. So and then that liquor store right over there, that's still the same liquor store. And then the Alta Cienega Motel, and I show him the whole thing where there's the Morrison room.
Yeah.
And then we go back over to Barney's. We have more drinks and we eat.
There was did he have an apartment? Like, when you're going on Sunset and basically you're leaving, you're going towards Beverly Hills.
They had an apartment on Sweetser. Him and Pam did for a while before they moved up to the canyon and by the store where the creatures meet, the Laurel Canyon store. Somebody
had told me that he had an apartment at one point next to, because I don't know if you know the Geffen building. It's the old Casablanca Records building that used to be across the street from Hamburger Hat. Let me see. I'm trying to think. So it's on the south side of Sunset. It's one block before like the fancy Jeep. There's like a Jeep. Not Jeep, a Land Rover dealership there.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's this big castle.
A little bit farther up from the whiskey and stuff.
Yeah, farther. Yeah. Anyhow, it's a big castle-looking place, and basically, from what I was told, something prior to Casablanca Records, it was some other office. But the reason why Morrison got an apartment near it, but because that's where his accountant lived. Oh no, that's where the accountants were. So he made sure to live right next to the bank where he would go get his money. For the accountants would distribute money. That's what I heard. And I was like, well, that makes sense because that's where we all live. We all moved like right next to our accountant, so we could just walk over, grab our money, and then blow it all down the street up the next block.
What's the line from working for MCA, Skinnerd? Mister, just make sure I'll make sure I get all my money, Mister. Maybe you won't get a scar.
Yeah, right.
Or like the Duff McKagan story in his book where what happened? What did he do? Fuck, I've forgotten. He did something to where he found out where the people do the money. He went there and he went, I know all your addresses, so don't something like that. Don't ever. I'm pretty sure that was Duff. And then it kind of was funny because later on in the book when he talks about when he sobers up and he went, I better start going looking through this shit. And he went, I guess they took that to heart because no, I haven't been fucked yet.
Yeah, right.
Because he went to school to and he doesn't do a thing for younger musicians for them to know what's going on in the business, which now they don't need anymore because the business is totally different. But oh shit, you froze. You're frozen right now. Damn it! Please come back, Pat. Please come back. Switch to just switch your video off. Where's Pat? So while he's doing that, I'll put this back up. There you are.
There we go.
Are you all set?
Yeah. Let's see. Camera, low definition. There we go.
Oh, good. And now I don't remember what the fuck I was saying. That's okay.
We were talking about, I think it'd be Duff McKagan. Oh, yeah. I think he does some kind of mentoring program or something like that. Pretty sure.
Yeah, he started something a long time ago, but for younger folks.
And then went to business school and got his degree, and smart guy.
Man, they're one of my favorite. How did you like that open? Did you? That's
I love it.
Whenever I talk about, because people ask all the time, is the only shirts that I own that have anything on them are my 3 Junkyard t-shirts. Every other t-shirt that I wear, which is every day or long sleeve, None of them have a label except for my store that I work at.
Oh, gotcha.
I work in the cannabis industry. So everything. So I normally I have my I'm blank. It's just black or a gray T-shirt. So a lot of people, not a lot, but well, yeah, a lot of, unfortunately a lot. But I've also learned a lot of people about it. What's Junkyard? And what was my point? What was I going to say? Oh, when I describe you guys, that's how I describe you guys. Is just think you like AC/DC? Oh yeah. You like Skinner? Yeah. Well, let's pretend they had a baby, and for a long time, Guns N' Roses was their babysitter.
Yeah.
I love
And Lemmy from Motorhead was paying the bills.
Fuck yeah! I should have. Yeah, you're right. That does.
I was
Yes.
got to throw Lemmy in there. It's like,
Well,
I think
especially because of
David
the spade.
Oh yeah, I mean, I want to say, let's see, I think it was David. David ran into Lemmy years ago and said something. Lemmy said something about the logo, and he's like, "Well, he's like, whatever, I don't care, make some money out of it."
Yeah, I've heard you guys tell that. I've heard one of you guys. I've heard
He
that
was
story
fine.
a couple
He
of
didn't give a
times. Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't give a shit, which was
Yeah.
that's fucking Lemmy. When I first moved to LA, in late 03, a friend of my ex-wife worked in the porn industry, but marketing, not
Oh, okay, gotcha.
not an actress,
Uh-huh.
and because she knew how I am about rock, you guys, Guns N' Roses, all the stuff from the '80s, late '80s, the good stuff. She was like, "Oh, I have this private thing. If you want to come, I'll put you on the guest list at the Rainbow."
Oh, okay.
Fuck yeah! So I brought
Yeah.
a buddy of mine, and we get there, and I'm like, "Holy! I've only been in LA for like 3 weeks." And I'm like, holy shit! My second day, I actually ate at the Rainbow, but it was during the day, and so nobody was there, and I ate outside. Well, I mean, but there was nobody there. Now I'm there, and it's at night, and there's a lot of people, and of course, it's a porn thing, so it's not
boy.
like it's closed off
Yeah.
for people like you.
Right.
So there's other folks in there. Anyway, so my buddy David that I bring, of course I'll come. Porn? I'm not going alone. I'll be too nervous, man. Like I said, I'd only been in LA for 3 weeks. And I knew that if I saw her to say hi, she's going to be working. So I'm not going to be able to, just fucking stick to her, be a baby and stick to her shoulder.
Right.
It ain't going to work. So she said, bring a buddy. So I bring David. Anyway, so we get there, we come in, we're in the outside bar right there that, of course, the bar faces the alley between that and the Roxy, that little space, and there's, the fence.
Yeah.
That's right there that separates from that little alley. So we get our drinks and then we back up and we're, like the fence that's the fence right there. And all of a sudden that's basically Lemmy right there. All of a sudden
shit.
I'm talking to David like this and blah blah blah. And out of the corner of my eye I see this. And I went, "Oh, hey bro." I go, "Hey dude." And he goes, "Hey mate." And I went, "Holy shit, Lemmy." And he went, "Oh, sorry, just looking for someone." And I went, "Oh, cool, dude." David didn't know who the fuck Lemmy was.
Oh, he didn't know.
No.
Oh,
And I'm
boy.
like, "Dude, that's fucking Lemmy, man."
It's God.
If there was one person I wasn't expecting to run into and see, it, I didn't like. It wasn't like I guess I met him. We said, "Hey, Lemmy,
yeah.
how are you, mate?" I mean, that's all.
Especially like
Not
3
how
weeks,
are you, mate.
in.
He was not
3
Australian.
weeks in
but
LA,
he
it's
was,
like, please, man.
I
Lemmy,
almost
nice.
shit my pants. So then, here's I didn't mean to tell this story, but seeing how we're there. So then later on, before as we were getting ready to leave, we go out and we're standing in front of the Roxy, closer to the street, and I'm talking to David, and all of a sudden I realize I realized somebody that I recognize. I recognize somebody standing between two other people, leaning against the front door of the Roxy that's not open at the moment. And I went, "Dude, fucking Scott Ian, Anthrax." He goes,
Oh, wow, nice.
and he goes, "Who?" And I went, "Jesus Christ, I brought the wrong dude tonight.
He's on a roll. He's 2 for 2. He doesn't like,
What the fuck is wrong with you?" So I go. He goes, "Oh," he goes, "You want a picture?" And I go, "No, dude, I don't do that. I don't ask for pictures."
Right, yeah.
I've seen you live 3 times, and I've never asked you for a picture. And you guys are easy because you're sluts.
Because we're easy.
And he goes, I go, no, I don't want to. So he pulls out his phone. I'm not even paying attention. I'm like, no, that's okay. Don't worry about it. And he starts talking to me, but he moves over like this, like he's in front of me, and Scott's, like where Jim is. And he's talking to me. So blah, 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 blah. And he takes this candid shot of me, and I don't even realize. And he goes, we're talking a couple minutes later, and he goes, hey, I thought, you sure you don't want a picture with Scott, with that guy? And I go, no. And he goes, well, you have one anyway. And I'm like, oh shit, when the fuck did you take that?
I was like, wow, that's a cool photo.
And it actually was.
Nice, yeah.
Because, I wasn't bothering Scott. He was just over my shoulder like Jim right now.
Nice.
All right. Now, God damn it. Where were we before
Scott,
I lost
Ian,
us
and
our
Lemmy.
track?
Wow, that's a 3 weeks in. That's pretty cool.
It was pretty neat. Oh, and then a week later, it was a week later, an actress friend of mine was trying to get into Beverly Hills Playhouse. And are you still? Yeah, okay. I heard a click. She's trying to get in there, and she asked me to help her with the scene that she was going to audition with. So I meet her at Kinko's in Beverly Hills, and it's like 8:30, and she's over doing her thing, and I'm just looking around like, oh, this is Kinko's in Beverly Hills. Wow, just like any other Kinko's.
Just like the other Kinko's.
Right? And then I notice this older man off to the left, and he's got this big fucking thing, like not a canvas, but big rollout paper, that artwork on there. I mean, it's a big thing that he's trying to do stuff with, right? And then he's trying to do stuff, and then he's looking around. There's nobody around to help. And I'm looking around, too, to help him. I'm like, I don't know if I can help him or not. Anyway, he turns around, starts walking towards me. It's fucking Peter Falk.
Oh, wow. Shit.
And he actually looked and went, how are you?
He's like, how are you? So I'm thinking of the thing.
Holy shit. And I went, wait, another thing, and another thing. No, I didn't. Right. Of course I did. I would never do that.
He's going to solve the crime for you.
Oh, my God.
Columbo.
Wait. That was the other thing about Quentin. One of the other things I think, like he did the fucking, there's a tie. Peter Falk has a tie to Manson. I try not to get to that because I want to get to I do want to talk about Junkyard stuff because I've got a whole bunch of shit. I haven't even talked about my first show seeing you guys. Shit, what was I going to say? Fucking Peter Falk. Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
One of the things that I liked about that, what I was afraid of with that movie, there's things that I'm just talking about the Manson part.
Right.
I'm a big. My laptop right now is sitting on top of a Manson book, and it's not a Manson book that you might expect, like the normal narrative.
Yeah,
I'm one of those people that say Charlie didn't tell them to fucking kill anybody.
Right.
That's bullshit. It was all Tex Watson and Linda Kasabian. Anyway,
that makes sense. Yeah,
it totally. Oh, it's so gross what they did to that dude, and not that he was a saint. But he was not the monster that they made him out to be. It's so crazy.
Right.
Anyway, I could do 5 hours on that.
Yeah.
The point being that one of the things that I was afraid that when I heard that he was doing that movie and there was going to be Manson based or whatever, I was afraid there was going to be more tarnish, more bullshit thrown on the mountain of bullshit that's already there. I mean, all the bullshit, remember, it was all coming from a lawyer, an LA lawyer. Yes. How can anybody take that as truth?
Right.
Except for some dates. So I was really afraid of that. And then when I saw it, I went, okay, I'm actually cool with this. Manson just came along and went, blah. The real fucking people that were the real person who, the real evil, he showed who the real evil fucker was. And the dog took care of Tex Watson.
Yeah.
Who still lives, who got to get married, write books, have kids. While Manson had to mostly stay in a fucking cell without a guitar. And he taught a lot of people in L.A. how to play.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't that hack that they try to make him out to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Doors, Roadhouse Blues, that song is based on, must know, the Topanga Corral.
Oh, up there, yeah.
Yeah, and he used to hang out with Manson. That whole thing, that whole Gooka Gaka Jucha Cohen thing in Roadhouse Blues, that's Manson inspired.
It's interesting that the way that I take a lot of that is back then, in that era. I mean, you and I both know. I mean, you were into LA, being in the acting gig or whatever. back then, everything, actually back then it was a little more, close knit. I mean,
Yeah.
if you even go back to
Yeah,
like the original
super,
punk rock
super.
scene in LA, I mean, it's
Everybody knew
where I was
everybody.
born and raised. There was, I mean, I went
That's
to
why
high school. I got my ass kicked for being a punk rocker. That doesn't, it's like, I got my ass kicked by a guy that looked like he was from a suicidal gang. And he went up to me. He's like, what's up with you, punker? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, you look like you're from Venice. Wham! He hits me. He goes, fuck you, punker. And I'm like, okay. But so you basically, you find your people that you're comfortable with, and back in those days, especially Topanga, everybody was comfortable with everybody. I mean, it was cool. Everybody come in, be cool.
That's one of the
Don't be a
reasons.
dick.
That's one of the reasons why the bullshit story about Manson that we have. It's to cover up all the people that were actually connected, that would have destroyed Hollywood and the music industry.
Yeah.
He took the fall. He took
yeah.
the fall for so many fucking people.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah,
Steve McQueen was grabbing. Steve McQueen was head of making sure that fuck, her boyfriend that was killed, the hairdresser, who was also known as the Candyman at the time. Why can't I say his name? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
he used to cut McQueen's hair.
Right.
McQueen supervised after the murder. Supervised making sure all the coke disappeared, so the cops wouldn't find it.
Oh wow!
Not at the Tate house, but at his place, and where he knew it was all hidden, because there was a kid. Who I'm trying to say? Shit.
And the whole time was that the same time that? Oh no, that wasn't the same time that Robert Evans got busted for the pharmaceutical cocaine, was it?
No, I don't think that was later.
70s.
Yeah,
that was 70s.
But Evans was part of bringing Polanski back and hiding him away before the cops could get to him to interview, to say what the hell's going on, because there was drugs. He was sending drugs over this way. Right. Frykowski, the guy Frykowski that they say, he was a friend of Polanski's, writer, poor guy, got killed. He was trying to be one of the biggest drug dealers in the country. It was a drug burn. Geez. It was all about drug burn. That dude fucking raped another drug dealer right there on that property 3 weeks before, in front of a bunch of people. And he beat the shit out of Tex Watson, because Tex was a drug burner, and that's why Tex and Linda came back. We're going to burn them, but it went bad because of methadone and a lot of other weird shit. But dude, there was dude, the little cottage in the back where the dude that was like, I don't know what happened, I was here the whole time. That cottage was a porn cottage. It was a porn cottage. It was, the fucking story is really crazy when you take Manson was like, if you look at it correctly, you're like, poor Manson's sitting over there going, yeah, I know, they're giving it all on me. Look at this shit. Yes, he did help try to cover up after he didn't tell them to murder them. But when they came back and went, he went, well, you're putting me back in prison, you fucks. But so he went and tried to change things and help them cover it up. Yes, he's an accessory. He was, for sure. And he was a fucking thief and pimp, but also he was a whore. Peter Falk. Guess who had sex with Peter Falk?
Nah.
I just told you. Charles Manson.
Really? Oh, shit.
You know who else Charles Manson had sex with that wasn't a woman? Dennis Wilson. Robert fucking Conrad paid him.
Robert Conrad, wow.
Flick that fucking battery off your shoulder.
I forgot about that guy. He was in. He had a bad TV show in the 70s.
Bob Black Sheep.
That's it. Yeah, Like, oh boy.
He was the original Wild Wild West dude.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember him from that.
Oh, so macho, macho. But yeah, he liked dudes, which is fine. But
Wild Wild West had the best intro to a TV show ever. It just the cut off bars and everything. It was just so fucking cool. I mean, it was like, for me, it was like a really mod country style.
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
Oh, mod, mod guys in cowboy suits, and then all of a sudden and then it goes into some crazy story.
Yeah, that was fucking. That movie, too bad. Even with Kevin Kline, couldn't save that fucking thing.
Nobody could save that movie. That movie should burn in hell.
Yeah.
Who's the dipshit producer that fucking greenlighted that?
No shit.
A big spider. It's like, oh god. Do you ever hear
shit.
Kevin Smith's take on that fucking movie?
No, don't. No, we can't. We don't talk about Kevin Smith because he quit smoking weed. Fuck him.
Oh, he did. Well, it's
Yeah.
his take
I'm
on the
kidding.
movie. Is,
Go ahead.
I think he got called in to. I can't remember. Something happened where he got called in, and it was the same guy that did that Wild Wild West movie. Also did the Batman movie with, I think, Clooney,
Schumacher.
and it was I want to say it was Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
And it was always
did he
about this
do-
fucking spider or something like that. I
Oh,
probably
I
have
know
my
what you're talking about.
directions
Yeah,
wrong.
because I did used to listen to Kevin. Yeah, I've heard him tell that story.
But yeah, it was like, oh, it's wrong. Can't have the big spider in the Batman movie, blah blah blah. And of course, it ends up in Wild Wild West with a bunch of other bullshit. It was like, this is fucking. I remember watching that movie. I was like, kind of excited. I was like, wow, it's a great TV show.
Not a great movie.
Way to shit the bed.
Boy, they do that a
Way to
lot.
shit my bed on my childish dreams.
God. And yeah, but yeah, we can go with so many examples of that, but we won't go into fucking Star Wars right now. A little break. We don't do ads here on the Waiting Interest podcast, but we will say it again, even though it's in the description and you know that anyway. But junkyardblues.com, BLOOZE. Oh, that's what I was going to do for you. I was going to do and I ain't talking about no lightweight panty, any weekend warrior. I'm talking about drinking. Talking about when you got $2 left, you got nothing to eat, you just gotta keep drinking. Talking about when you get home at 3, but you don't make it till 4 because you can't find the door. Went home, went straight to my bed. I never make it that far, flat on my head. Woke up to the morning light, burned a hole in my brain because the sun's so bright. I won't keep going. I'm sorry, Pat. That's killing you.
No, the penny ante weekend where penny ante it goes up with inflation. So unfortunately, it's up to about $1,000 right now.
Holy shit! But man, of course, when you guys, so to bring it back to you guys, so did we do that pre podcast where I told you I wanted to go through the beginnings of? We didn't do it yet. We're the beginnings.
We haven't went through the whole birth, the whole birthing process.
That's so funny because the I did this a little bit. I didn't mean to. It wasn't part of my notes, but the podcast that I recorded when we were supposed to record that I did solo anyway. I was talking about not being able to. At the same time, Steve, the drummer of the Lords. Did I show you the? Did I do this?
No,
already?
no.
I did pull it. Did I pull it up?
Not yet.
No.
Oh, nice, cool logo, perfect.
Yeah.
Lends itself perfectly too.
So at the same time, the drummer Steve threw out his back. He sends us all an email saying, "I kind of threw out my back. I can't really move that well." And,
boy.
And Dennis, the guitar player, he's not the funny part. I am. So he writes, feel better, take some, time out, whatever, do some rest, whatever. And I hit reply all going, feel better, brother. I thought I tweaked my back once, but it turns out I was just constipated. So throw some stool softeners on top of that.
Get some Dukalax, buddy.
I swear to God, there was one time, and then what did I ate something that just cleaned me out, and then all of a sudden, what? My back's up. Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's what
fantastic.
I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Grand.
But let's see. So yeah, birth. So speaking of birth, so the diaphragm thing. So at the same time, his back, I had this little head cold that I knocked out with fucking vitamin D. Wham! That the mainstream was shitting on, whatever, or didn't tell you about enough. It helped a lot of people. Anyway, so I was talking about how I couldn't even, while I'm with that, I was trying to it's still at least go do my 10 minutes every fucking few hours. But I couldn't do it because I kept thinking I was going to shit myself.
That happened.
So as I'm telling that part of the story, as I'm babbling, and then I go, wait, that must be where a lot of ladies realize they can sing when they're giving birth, because it's like taking a shit. Because I was there. I was there for my daughter's birth, and I swear to God, my wife actually seemed like a singer for a second. The diaphragm is... That's how important. Also, there was a joke in there, something about diaphragm, or word play with also being birth control, whatever. Sorry for blowing that part, but Anyway, so yeah, let's go through the birth of the Junkyard.
Let's see, Chris. How do I?
Chris,
Let's
Chris
see.
Gates, one of the guitar
It
player.
all basically started in, oh God, probably 1980, late 86, when Chris moved out to Los Angeles. He moved out before David. David and the other guys moved out from Texas. So
David
Chris's
Roach, singer,
intention, yeah,
and Max
Chris's
Scott, lead guitar
intention,
player.
yeah, and Johnny Hell, drummer,
Johnny
and
Hell.
Nick Ferrari, other guitar player from the Little Kings. They all moved out. But so basically, Chris was out here a year before them. He moved out and got a job out in Pasadena at a punk rock clothing store. So prior to that, the last time I had ran into Chris was '85 with my punk rock band Decry, and he had hit me up a few times, and we saw each other out around in LA. And I was, me and Todd have always played in bands together. I think there's probably, out of all the bands we've been in together, there's probably only 2 or 3 bands that we haven't been in together. So Chris hit me, or Todd calls me up and he goes, "Yeah, have you seen, Chris Gates is in town. He hit me up to play with him." He's like, "Yeah, he hit me up too. Like, you want to do it?" He goes, "Well, Todd was in another band. I was in another band. So,
Todd
we were busy
Muscat,
with our,
bass player.
yeah." And so Chris, somehow, some way I ended up out at this this clothing store, and I walk in, there's Chris. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" We had the longest chat. We talked about, all kinds of stuff and what the idea, the vision that he had. So I just told him, I go, "Well, I'm in a band right now." And the band that I was in at the time was a couple guys from some pretty big San Francisco punk rock bands. One band was Verbal Abuse and the other was Tales of Terror. So it was 2 guys from San Francisco and there was 3 of us from LA. We could not decide whether we wanted to be from San Francisco or LA. So we just kept going back and forth. And that band was called Pirates of Venus. So for basically a year, during that year, the band Pirates of Venus actually played with Junkyard a couple times. And I was like, "Chris, you finally got a band together. This is great. Like, you guys are fucking great. Where'd you get the singer from?" And that's when, during that year from 86 to 87, David came out with Max and with the drummer Johnny Hell and a couple other guys. So at that point, they all got a place together in East Hollywood. They all moved in together, and that's when Chris started I'm sorry. Prior to that, when those guys moved out from Texas, they moved into a parking lot because they were all living in their cars. And there used to be a club called there was a bar called the Sound Check that was across the street from the Hollywood Palladium that used to have like jam nights. So Junkyard would play there on jam night, just do covers and, for beer money or whatever. And they were living in their cars in the back. And Chris at that time wasn't living in his car. He had a place, small place. So they finally got their own place together. They got a big house. Junkyard became Junkyard, started playing more shows within that year. And I think I can't remember what happened, but I was on my way back from San Francisco and I was in the band that I was with, the van broke down, so I got stuck. While I was stuck in wherever I was for a couple of days, I was like, "I'm done with this band. I'm over it. I'm going to figure out a way to get back home, get my car, go back, get my gear from the van that had just busted up and, down on the 5 freeway. And then that's it. I'm done. And I'm going to figure out, I'm going to, go back to school or do whatever." I'm like, I'm fucking sick of this shit. So as soon as I get my shit, I go get down to LA and I see there's a little note, on the wall, "Call Chris Gates immediately." Walk in, I'm like, "Chris, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay?" He goes, "Hey man, I just heard you quit your band. What are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Dude, this just happened this morning and you found out?" He goes, yeah, your singer told me." He goes, "Yeah, okay, let's jam tonight." I'm like, he goes, "Yeah, now is the time." I'm like, "Okay." So I went down and played a couple of songs with them. And at the end of the rehearsal, I'm like, "You guys have a drummer right now?" He goes, "Yeah, but he's going on to do something else." And I always kind of wanted you anyway. So that's the way that kind of started. Prior to that, Junkyard, prior to me getting in the band and the band being around for a year, they went through a lot of different bass players. One of which was Tony Alva, the skateboarder guy. They had him on bass for, I think, a show or two. They had a couple other people on bass that would just sit in, and then Clay Anthony came into the picture. He was playing in a band called the Peck and Paws that opened up for Junkyard, and immediately Chris and Clay got along well. And I think Clay got in the band a week before I got in the band. Once myself and Clay got in the band, then we basically recorded a demo in a garage. Like, what was that magazine? Music Connection magazine. The back of Music Connection, we're like, we need a studio that's cheap, $100. So we went in there, recorded, and did what everybody else does in LA, send out demos. And then we got a good show opening up for a bunch of bands. We had a bunch of good shows opening up for a lot of good bands. And then one show in particular, we were opening up for Jane's Addiction, and the people from Warner Brothers were down there to see Jane's Addiction. And little did we know that they were actually down there to see us as well. And that's when,
that's a good
that's
thing.
when all of a
so
sudden
you don't have that nerves.
the business cards came out. All of a sudden we were like, whoa, what the fuck is this? People
What's
have business cards. And a guy handed us a business card, and I remember.
You mean a tiny little cell phone that doesn't have a phone part yet?
Yeah, a tiny time machine. I can go back and renegotiate my deal. But they handed us a card, and I think it was somebody from Geffen, it was somebody from Elektra, somebody from Atlantic, and we were like, wow, this is fucking cool. And then the next Monday after the show, we were, we had a band meeting or whatever, which was basically, us going out and getting hammered and playing pool. We get a phone call, at Chris's house, and it's a guy from Virgin Records. So we're like, oh shit! All of a sudden, it's like, oh shit! And we're like, what do you want? Oh, we need a press kit. We're like, what the fuck is that? We're all punk rockers. We don't know a fucking press kit. We barely know how to navigate a Thomas guide to get to the gig. So
Thomas guide, what's that? Oh, that thing that you would read and keep your eyes off the road and cause a lot of accidents in Los Angeles.
And then when you're on tour, you never use the Thomas guide. You never call the club and never use the Thomas guide. You always call, go to the record store. So it kind of, once we started getting noticed by the labels, we started getting a little bit of press, and within 8 months we had a deal with Geffen, and it was we had got signed. A lot of people were like, to think we got signed off of Guns N' Roses coattails because Axl was wearing the shirt and all that stuff. But the reality was,
that was a long
when we
time
got
before.
picked up, Guns N' Roses were actually losing money for Geffen Records at the time. They were sinking a lot of money into them, but the return on the investment was not happening. And this was prior to
Sweet Child.
This is prior to, I think, Paradise City. I think Paradise City, that was the one that kind of like, all of a sudden it's the live video. It had them, playing the big arenas, and but it was, I think, Welcome to the Jungle was their single. It wasn't doing great.
First one, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's when we got picked up. It was like,
So he wore the shirt before they were even famous.
He wore the shirt. There's two shows where he wore that shirt. One of the shows is we opened up for him, so he wore the shirt. And
right,
it was
right. That's when I think. I don't know. Oh shit! You froze. You okay? Oh yeah, you're there.
There we go.
I don't know who runs your Twitter, but how long ago was it? It's probably been 2-3 years. Speaking of Guns N' Roses, I tweeted to Guns N' Roses. I know I tagged Slash and Duff, but I was like, the perfect opener for you fucking guys is Junkyard. And I tagged you guys. I'm pretty sure whoever does your thing on Twitter, but nobody follows me. But that's why I tagged everybody to see if the tweet would fucking get out there. I don't have a bunch of followers. I like being the smallest click on the internet. Not this small, though. I'd like to be a little bit bigger. Guns N' Roses. Oh, so where were we?
I was talking about Twitter, or you were tagging us and tagging them. About the shirt.
The shows.
The Axl shirt and the show. I mean, like I said, Axl wore that shirt at 2 shows. I think one was when we opened up for him in Pasadena, and it was December of 88, I'm sorry. No, 87, December of 87, because we started recording in 88. And then the other show was like somewhere in like, I think Chicago. A guy named Gene Ambo, I think, shot pictures of that show.
Shit, your picture keeps freezing. Your audio's still okay, but your picture has gotten a little choppy. See if I can
mess with it.
But it's okay. At least the audio's been cool.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is the problem that I had last time when I used the StreamYard thing. I think it gets to a certain amount of time and it kind of crapped out on my end. Let me see what my
So far, at least your audio is cool, because audio is the most important. Not that you're not a pretty man, sir. But I will say this: there's going to be a point here where I think I know I I pre-warned you that that a guest might have to be by themselves and tell a story.
Gotcha.
Because you know,
Duty calls.
I've been doing the blues thing. But where we're still partly in the birth of Junkyard. So we're at
We're talking about
so
basically the myth behind Axel helping us to get signed or any
right.
of that.
That's
I
it.
mean,
That's it.
He wore the shirt. He was a friend of ours. He was a supporter. We didn't play a lot of shows with him. We played. I think we played twice with him.
You played more.
Twice.
You actually played more with the speaking of coming back to my open. You played more with how many shows did you do with the Skinner tribute band?
In the '91 tour, that was about 36 shows.
Fuck.
We did.
I thought it was only a handful. I didn't look at the whole thing.
We did it. We went out. We toured out by ourselves.
Bullet points.
We toured out by ourselves, headlining with Rhino Bucket opening, and then we did a slew of shows. The East Coast, they went off and did something else. We did our own, and then we met back up and toured all the way from the Carolinas to LA. I think it's online somewhere or something.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of it.
Oof.
Wow.
It was a fun
so
tour.
91. So was that before or okay? Talk about. I have to pee, but when I come back, and I'm not going to cut you off with whatever you're saying, whatever story you're going to tell by yourself before I wet myself. But what I wanted to get to, because you're talking about 91 Skinner, but forget Skinner at the moment. But in that time frame, that's 90. It was either 91 or 92 the first time I saw you guys at Summers on the Beach. But I'll be back in 2 minutes. You have a ball.
Okay.
Pat from Junkyard's taking over the whip.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, so check it out around here. It's going real good. Weather's 45 degrees above 69 and 81% left on my watch battery. So anyhow, if anybody's trying to, anyhow, I'm not going to go on with that place. So yes, just to let everybody know, the Axel did not sign us to Geffen Records. We gave him a shirt. He wore it. We gave Slash a shirt. I think he kindly wore it at a couple shows. We'd like to do that with, back then, because we had access to a screen printing machine. And so other than that covers us getting up into the point of being signed. In 1988, the band gets signed. And then everything goes downhill from there. We make... I hope Wayne's doing okay in there. Anyhow, so we're at 1988 right now, and we're recording our album, and we're interviewing producers, and a guy named Tom Werman's name popped up, and we said, absolutely not. Any guy who had produced, Cheap Trick is not good enough for us. Ha ha ha. Total joke. Ever wondered, like, the wall that right behind Wayne, it kind of reminds me of, it's very 1970s. The Doors poster is perfect, but the wall, it could be a lot of 2x4s leaning up against it, or it could be wallpaper. I see a lot of knots on it. Apparently, Wayne has had a lot to drink. Right after this, I'm going to tell him I've got to go to the bathroom and see how. Now here's my tumbler, my martini tumbler. Martini time. So, funny thing happened to me when I was walking the dog the other day. Ran into a guy up the street, and see, I'm not a comedian, so and I'm stark sober. We're going to take a call right now. George, you're on the line. Hi, hello. I'm going to call Bill Hightop. Hey, where's Billy Hightop? I need to call Bill Hightop. I'm going to take a picture of myself on a podcast. I'm now running the podcast. So you're going to call this number real quick. So call 553-1897 and get your free Junkyard sticker. Call 310-553-1892 to get your free Junkyard sticker. Or 853-1212 to get your free Junkyard sticker. I don't know if that I don't even know if that phone number still works. That used to be the phone number for like the tone of the time will be.
I can't wait to hear what that was. What I just missed. I cannot wait. But keep going.
I was trying to think of something that what came to me was years ago, and again I don't know because I'm not going to pick up the phone and do it. But if you call 553-1212, that would give you the weather in any area code you were in.
Right.
Same thing with time, 853-1212. So what a lot of people did back in the day, which is kind of mean, but people were like that. Give me your number. Here you go. 853, whatever the last four digits are. It could be anything. 853-943 or whatever. It's still going to be, at the tone of the time is. So that prank got played on me a few times too. So I found out the hard way.
So, but where did that come? I guess I'll find out.
I was just rambling.
Oh, you were just rambling.
Just total rambling. So and then talking about Axl Rose did not sign us. We did Slasher shirt he wore for one show too. So basically, we played
with
the
synchronicity. I don't know if you know this or not. You must know this part with the knowing the Slash. Not to keep going harping on that, but it's just about coming back around with things. You know that Slash's top hat. That's his belt on the top and the ring on the top.
I had no idea. Is it really?
Yeah.
You're kidding. Wow. Fuck. I had no idea.
I mentioned it earlier about, was it Whip 113, I think? I think it's 113 where I talk about all the Skinner Guns N' Roses stuff.
Oh, okay.
Gary Rosington did that before Slash. It's right on the cover of Give Me Back My Bullets.
Oh, okay.
Look at you have Give Me Back My Bullets. Look at that. Look at Gary's hat. Now, again, and then look, and what's the name of the album? Give Me Back My Bullets, Guns N' Roses. Yeah. And it's not just that, but also they both had Hell House.
Right, yeah.
This is, and this, not to take it away from you guys, because like I'm saying, you're the baby of all this shit that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Not that you're the baby of Guns N' Roses. It's just that it's more like, you guys had their look seemed like it was original, but you guys were that group of that East LA, not that fucking that whiskey shit, not that pay for play bullshit. You guys were actually, the people that wore those clothes that you guys were wearing when you came along, like them, when the popular ones, that was just their stage thing. You guys, those were actually your fucking clothes.
Well, we wore those clothes out of necessity because
right.
It
was real.
Jeans,
That's why
boots
it's
and
more
leather
real.
Jackets last. They last a long time in between washes.
Yeah, fucking, like I said, this T-shirt's fucking 6 years old.
Yeah, I don't think I still dress the same. A jeans, T-shirt. I mean, if you see us now, it's it's a little, maybe a nicer pair of jeans, but
I've talked about this on the podcast. The only thing that's changed in my wardrobe, besides many years ago saying, "Why am I wearing white socks or white underwear or white T-shirts? What? Fuck this other load of laundry. Everything needs to be black or gray. Gray is the lightest I go." I have no white T-shirts at all. Everything's black. I have 2 gray. Everything else is black. 3 of them saying this name. Just saying. Wow, it's kind of like an ad. The Waning Interest podcast doesn't do ads, but Jesus, this sounds like a fucking Junkyard infomercial. And you're goddamn right, because they fucking deserve it. There should be 17 of them already before me, but I'm the first one to really do it. I've seen these guys on. I've seen Pat, and I've seen Tim, and I've seen David, and I've seen Todd, and I've seen I've seen Jimmy, and I've seen everybody, and Chris, and I've seen a bunch of Chris stuff just by himself, of course, with what he's doing with being the sober thing.
That's good stuff,
which is amazing shit. Yeah. I've asked him, but I'm like, God, do I really want to insult him? Because, part of what I do is, like you, a little clink.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm out, but
Clink.
You got the tumbler out now.
Chris doesn't drink anymore, which is fantastic, but he does, or anything, but he does a lot of great work for people that, need help. This is my night out. I look like I'm some waste case because of the podcast, because all you see is he's always drinking. It's like once a week or 2. That's it.
Oh,
And I
yeah, I
only
got my
have
cheat
like
nights.
6 or
Yeah.
7.
Oh,
Huh?
I'm up. I mean, the drag is like for what I do for a living. I'm up at like 5 a.m. and
What do you do at the
Monday
moment?
through Friday. I'm a programmer, a
Program.
web developer. Yeah,
Oh,
mainly work
you
for
want to
a
do the Waning Interest podcast website? And I know that
no,
joke. That you. Oh God,
absolutely
that
not.
must have made you puke. That must have made you
No,
puke.
it's with the funny thing.
I'm
It's
kidding.
because I came from the world of
I
web
don't want one.
design back in the day, and then now I'm actually developing sites, and I'd rather go back to designing. Developing's kind of like you get snowblind. All you're looking at is code all day, but
It's
you
it's
know
monotonous.
I got into it in 1999. So I started off actually handwriting code, rather than using a lot of plugins and like drag and drop stuff. It was pure hell for about 2 years. I had to relearn math and all that shit. But
Wow.
been doing it ever since.
I've not
That's
done
not
code,
we're
but it's like whenever anybody, I always bring it back to radio because that's
yeah
my blood. Uh, but like when you say that stuff, it's for me that sounds like going to school in radio, and it's all 2-track and 1
yeah
4-track room, and it's all this splicing and cutting and everything, and then I go to
yeah
actually get a gig, and it's like nobody's doing. I know how to. Oh, it's all digital. Why didn't
yeah
they?
yep yeah
And
everything
then it
is
got,
yeah
which was cool, which was great.
sure yeah
It sped things up, of course, but it's kind of like, one of the reasons I harp on Skinner, Guns N' Roses, Junkyard, AC/DC, and that kind of stuff, because I was in radio for many years, so I used to know, and I was also like Tarantino, a nut when it came to what is it that he made famous with his stuff? Pulp, not his just what's hip or whatever, and that kind of stuff. You're all in that head. I'm in talk radio. Got to know what's up. I'm in talk radio.
oh
All
yeah
that other
yeah
stuff, and music radio, and so I knew almost back. There was a time when I almost knew who everybody was, and now I'm like, what?
oh it's rough yeah
I got Steve-O's fucking podcast. A clip pops up in my YouTube recommends, and there's this
uh
dude. There's this dude with the ultimate motherfucking mullet that I've ever seen, with these bangs, and then this thing. Like, who the fuck is this? Oliver Green, or I don't know
I
if
don't
you know who.
know
And I'm like, one of my coworkers. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Oh, you don't know who that is? No. And then he plays one of his songs, and I'm like, he's a musician. What does he do? He
wow
doesn't play any
okay
instruments, does he? No, he's a singer and a rapper. A rapper. Oh,
oh
can he really sing? Well, it sounds like he can really sing. Like, oh, I think I have heard that song, but I'm like, that's
right
what he looks like. It looks like a parody. He has these black hair, and it's long, but not here. He looks like he's
oh
trying to be
God
Joe
where
Dirt,
oh
but
God
he forgot the sideburns and he forgot to dye his hair blonde
yeah
and
I
to
think that
spike
look
the
is
top. He's not
yeah
spiking it. They're fucking.
that look is I've seen
Look it up.
it's LA, so I've seen a few
Where the-
people walking around with it. It's like, really? That's you're
Are you
serious.
kidding?
Like,
You got to
okay.
be. Please tell me
Yeah,
you're
it's
joking.
oh yeah, it's made a huge comeback. Mullets are like, I mean, you have
Mm.
people like walking walking the catwalk wearing mullets now. Like,
Some
oh,
people don't even know what the fuck a mullet is. They accuse me of having a mullet. They accuse me of having a mullet, and I'm like,
no,
dude,
you
if
have,
if I had a mullet, my hair wouldn't touch my lips, Holmes.
yeah,
It would be
yeah,
short.
you'd have the
And it's not like it's much longer in the back. You fucking look up. I'm sick of these people changing the fucking meaning of the words. Sorry. Oh, hold on. There's a soapbox here I have to step off,
there you
sir.
go.
Where the fuck were we? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I knew this was gonna. You knew it. You've seen some whips. But where the fuck were we? Oh, there were so many places we were. We were definitely still in the birth of Junkyard. Fuck. I'm gonna watch this back and go, shit, we missed something great. But no, it's too much. We
I
need.
think yeah, I think
I need 12 hours, but I know we've only got. I'm only
We'll
gonna
have to do a
keep
part
you.
two.
Yeah, I'm not gonna keep you that much longer. Well, you just say I can go on for hours, but you can
Let's
say
see,
it's about time.
we were at 80. I think the last time, yeah, we were at 88, 89. We did oh, that's right. When you were in the bathroom, I was talking about Tom Werman.
Oh, producer.
Yeah.
Oh, that was another tie that I think I only mentioned in the pre. when it go back to Skinnerd, Al Cooper, who produced the first 3 Skinnerd albums, played
Or Al
fucking.
Coop played keys. Yeah.
He played keyboards on your first album.
Yeah. Yeah. Al.
Which is
So basically,
that's another.
it's a weird thing. Like for us, when we did the
believe
album with Tom,
I can't wait to talk to Craig Reed about that when I talk to Craig with the Stone Roadie. Anyway, go ahead.
So basically, when we went to, this was kind of a bummer actually, but this is part of, I think, be interesting to some people. Unfortunately, when you get signed to a major record label and the year is 1988, sometimes people from your original band don't get to play on the record, and that was something that was brought up after we met with Tom Werman. And we had met with a couple other producers, and honestly, I can't remember who we really met with, because once we heard Tom's name, we were kind of like, yes, that's the guy. He did Cheap Trick. It's yeah. And then they were like, oh, but he did Motley Crue. It's like, no, he did Cheap Trick. It's like, oh, but he did Poison. It's like, he did Cheap Trick. But so
Dream Police.
Oh, so good. So when we met with Tom,
Robin Zander.
We sat there, and afterwards we had a great meeting. We went back to the label, and when we had a follow-up meeting with Tom afterwards, and it was, he expressed that he would like to meet with us without a certain member of the band, and which was kind of a bummer. So he basically just said straight up, because he goes, this album is going to be great, and I'm sorry, but Max is not going to play on it. And we were kind of like, wow, what the fuck? I mean, Max co-wrote Hollywood. Max co-wrote, I'd say probably 25%, I'd say 15 to 25% of the first album Max Gottlieb wrote. So for us, it was the first time that it's the first time we got to experience the major label putting the hammer down kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that eventually we were going to have to, we knew Max's strong suit was in songwriting. His guitar playing was good, but his strong suit was songwriting. So we knew that eventually we would have, the writing was on the wall. So we waited until we got signed. We waited until we all, the other thing, the other myth that everybody thinks, it's like back then when you got a record deal, everybody thinks you got a car and you got a bunch of money and stuff. Each one of us got a little bit. I think we each got about $2,000 up front so we could pay off some bills or buy a car. And then what we did is we took the rest of the money and put ourselves on a salary of about $800 a month.
$9,000. That's all we could win.
And it lasted.
Sorry, going back to the Skinner thing.
We made it all last. We were trying to figure out a way in our punk rock ways. It's like, how do we make this last as long as we could? Because in our minds, it was like, yeah, as soon as this check, as soon as we could, we're never getting another check again. So we got to make it last. So we basically we never really went out and did the rock star thing. Everybody, like all these other people you see back in the day, went and bought a car, this and that. It's like, wow, great. I paid my electric bill. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Fuck, man. So when it came around to replacing Max, our label Geffen wanted us to, audition players, and they wanted us to put an ad in the paper and stuff like that. I was like, that's not the way we do things. We hire from our own gene pool.
Family.
We hire from within or from family, and it just was. And we actually had no idea that Brian was living a block away from myself, Chris, David, and Tim, who lived across the street, and who Tim had nothing. I mean, Tim was hanging around with us because he was in, his band Setting Suns, Broken Glass, and Big Secrets. All these bands that Tim was in would always open up for Junkyard. So next thing you know, we're like, fuck, we got to find a guitar player. Like, we're going to record an album. I mean, we knew we were going to record it with or without whatever guitar player we're going to get. So as we're walking on a Sunday morning, Chris was walking over to 7-Eleven, which was only one block away from our apartment building. He runs into Brian in the parking lot, and of course everybody knows Brian because we're so ancestral when it comes to the whole punk rock history. Everybody knew everybody. I mean, when Chris's band, punk rock band, the Big Boys broke down, Brian's band would put him up. Same thing, Minor Threat would break down in Texas, Chris would put him up. So everybody knew everybody from that time frame. Also, during that punk rock time frame, it's a very close-knit group of people during that time frame. There wasn't a lot of it wasn't as commercial as it was. So when you went to play a show in Columbus, Ohio, there was probably 35 people there, but those 35 people, I can tell you, I'm still like the show that I played in, Chicago in 1985. I'm still friends with like probably half of the people that were at the show. It's one of those things. It was such a small, tight knit community. I kept friends with everybody, and everybody was cool. So when Chris ran into Brian, Chris just simply asked him, like, "What are you doing?" And Brian said, I'm still playing in the band. I still have my band Dag Nasty, but I'm thinking about doing something else. And Chris was like, "Well, you want to be in a major label band and make some money?" And Brian's like, "Yeah, sure." So we had him come down the next night, and we sat around and waited and waited and waited, and went home bummed out because Baker didn't show up. Next morning we get a call from Brian. He's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry, man. I got arrested. I had a warrant out, for a speeding ticket. I never paid the ticket." And we're like, "Okay, fine, you're hired." And it was just it was just like, dude, it's like, we already knew how you played. We had auditioned other people prior to him, and we had auditioned friends. We had one person that came in who was very well respected, a well respected guitar player about town. And it was rad just being in the same room to play with him.
You're not going to say the name?
You have somebody like...
You're going to be discreet?
I'm going to be discreet. He's a nice guy.
Oh, you can tell me when we're done? Off air?
Yeah. And
I swear I won't say anything.
He's a semi-known. I don't know what he's doing now, but...
I'm just trying to be like Rogan now, where people say, I can't tell you now. Oh, you're going to tell me? I'll tell you off air.
Yeah, when the mics are hot. But, no, so... Anyway,
sorry.
It's weird when you have you're holding on and again, we didn't look at, it's like you want to jam. It's like we never used the word, we hated using the word audition, Yeah. So we had this person come in and we had another person come in. Both people that came in had no idea, they did not study, or they did not even learn any of our songs. One guy came in and said, "Okay, great, you guys got this, but look what I've got." And we're like, "No, dude, no, you're coming in and showing off your songs. We don't. Oops. We have songs. We're
sounds like somebody needs a mushy trip."
It was like, ugh. So that guy, and then the next guy that came in was an old friend of myself and Todd's, and it was kind of a what was it? An obligatory audition. It's like, yeah, we know he's not going to be in the band, but we'll give him 15 minutes kind of thing. And he showed up. And in his 15 minutes, he made an impression. He was so coked out of his head that he was like, he just kept playing the same part over and over. And it was like, I was like, after he left, I'm like, "Sorry guys, we had to do it." It was an old friend of ours.
I'm going to hear that name off the air too.
that guy. Sad story about that guy, but it did not end well in the end. But so yeah, we did that, and then like I said, when Brian called us and told us the story, I was like, "No," it's like, "Sounds good, you're in." So from that point forward, we went in and started recording. We doing pre-production and recording, and met. That's when we met Tom Werman and his people, his engineers, and we got to meet a lot of Al Cooper, Earl Slick, Tom Kelly, and Bob Carlisle, who are the guys who wrote that Cyndi Lauper song "True Colors." They were the guys who actually sang background vocals on our record. They did the nice oohs and ahs. Those oohs and ahs were like, very expensive oohs and ahs.
Yeah.
I think they were used on, I think those oohs and ahs were on a lot of albums.
Yeah. Speaking of that, going back to the Manson for a second, did you know this part? A little known fact that should be more well known. Manson actually, he was so good. He was actually good. Now, he wasn't the hack that they said. He recorded with the Wrecking Crew, but they buried that music because
I've heard about that.
Happened. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard.
Speaking of the Wrecking, because the Wrecking Crew was on so many albums, just like the Nazi you were just talking about. There's a little synchronicity I had to come back to. Sorry, go ahead.
They're on so many albums that they couldn't even afford the albums they were on.
Yeah.
Like in this day and age. Fuck, I can't afford the albums I was on. And that was like only 40 years ago.
Yeah, was it off air when I mentioned the couple times when you guys have had your music on TV shows where the money didn't even go to you, it went straight to the fucking record company? Jesus.
Oh yeah, that's happened. Yeah. That's that happened with there's give and take. We got paid.
Did you have a song on Dawson's Creek? Or was it One Tree Hill?
No, we had We had a song on. No, that was Sucker Punch. That was my band. Me and Tim Mosier we were in a
No,
band in
Junkyard had
1996.
no, the
We had,
Junkyard had
Sucker Punch had one on One Tree Hill. We were on.
One Tree Hill. Okay.
We were on.
I taught Chad Montgomery a bit of how to bowl.
Oh, okay, nice.
He bowled in the
nice.
same league as me in Studio City at Pins, and I came I grew up in bowling centers. My dad was a pro. He had a pro
Nice.
shop and everything. So when I lived in Studio City, I used to bowl at Pins in mixed league with some friends and teach them how to bowl, and I ended up
Nice.
teaching half the league. The dude that
Oh, what a trip.
the dude that played in the Sandra Bullock movie that played Michael Orr,
Oh, right,
the
right.
big kid, the big black dude.
Yeah, Blindside. Yeah.
He was in our league. I taught him how to not loft the ball halfway down the lane. Motherfucker, dude, you would be in the toilet and you knew he was bowling because you'd hear that thud because he would loft it over the arrows, dude. Aaron, dude,
Lane.
dude,
Lane
slow
master.
down, because he's fucking guy's 6'6" and oh my god, it was so funny. But Chad, he had a team in the league, and I taught his boys how to bowl a little bit.
Oh,
'Cause
nice.
they saw me bowling and saw that I'd obviously been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I taught a lot of people a lot of shit. It was great. Dude, I took my teammate, a guy I used to do films with, I did his thesis for USC.
Oh, okay.
And we became friends, and then he came up with, in the strike in 2007, he had this idea for a little web series, one of the first web series. And it was called The Last Hand. And he goes, dude, because we became friends after doing his thesis. He goes, I got this idea. During the strike, we can't really do much, and I'm going to throw this online. This idea, I'll
Right.
send you the scripts for this little thing, like 3-minute episodes. And I read this shit, and I'm like, this is hilarious. Who's playing the old man with all this magic shit? He goes, Larry Hankin. I went, Larry Hankin, I know that name. He goes, Old Joe, Breaking Bad. I went, dude.
Oh, wow.
Or
Nice.
you know Hankin. He did a ton
Yeah.
of shit. He was Mr. Heckles on Friends. He's done a ton of
okay.
shit, right? So anyway, we did that. What was the point? Luke. Oh, Luke. So we did that, and then we did some other stuff, and then he wanted to learn how to bowl. So we started doing this every Saturday afternoon thing, and then things would get in the way, and I was like, dude, let's do this. You really want to learn how to bowl? Let's join a league, a mixed league where no money's involved, where there's no competition shit. We'd drink a few beers, we relax, hang out with people, and you bowl 3 games, and I'll watch every fucking shot. I'll keep doing this thing. Motherfucker, started with no shoes, no ball of his own, drilled for his hand, right? He was a 115 bowler.
Wow.
I sent in my buddy Brandon, who we bowled for money, but me and Brandon bowled for money. He had his own pro shop over in Eagle Rock. He's now up in Washington. He moved, but he had two. He had the Corbin Bowl pro shop too. Corbin Bowl.
Okay, Corbin Bowl. Yeah, Tarzana. Yeah.
But Brandon had those, and I sent in to Brandon, get your ball drilled up for your hand to fit your hand, fingertip, get some shoes, blah blah blah. When we stopped bowling 2 years later, he was a 188 average.
Wow, jeez.
And he shot
Damn.
and the motherfucker, one of the things I never did was shoot a triplicate. He shot a triplicate, which is the one series of the same score 3 games in a row in the same series.
Wow.
213, right?
Damn.
So I don't realize he's already shot the first 213s, right? The last game he gets up, I was anchor, so I would take the first 3 scores and then I'd bowl, and the other teams or whatever. And I'm looking up and I went, wait, dude, hold on, before you bowl, hold on, let me add this up. You shot 213 the first 2 games, dude. Just don't throw a good shot.
Yeah, right.
I only want you to get 7 pins. I only want you to get 7, and you'll shoot 213 again. And he goes,
Wow.
what? And I just close your eyes. Don't throw it in the gutter. Just don't throw a good shot, but don't throw it in the ditch either. Motherfucker throws up, boom, 7 down. He's got 213. This is the 10th frame, and he goes, 213. Throw the next ball in the ditch.
Yeah, right.
He has a 213 triplicate.
Wow.
Oh,
fuck.
speaking
That's
of that, now I got to show you this because I can pull this up real quick. Speaking of triplicates, I know I still have this. My dad, years ago, where is it? I know it's still here. I didn't drop it off, did I? Oh, fuck, I must have. I got to go get it for you. Hold, you got to hold, sir. You held while I peed? Well,
Gotcha.
now, I got to show you this. You're going to fucking love this from that story because it, where do I go? Oh, my computer. I thought it was in that list. It's on this list. I'll get it. Where am I? Bippity. Oh, I was there. Shit. Sorry, brother. I know.
That's all right.
You're going to love this. What do I have it under? Want to see something cool? Where'd it go? Oh, it's still uploading.
Oh, wow.
That's my dad. Triplicate 279, 1987.
Jeez. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Now, he, at the time, he was was it the third or fourth to do that, sanctioned. Now it's been done.
Damn.
Now it's been done fucking 5,000 times.
Oh, has it? Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the
Wow,
equipment.
that's-
The equipment got stronger. In 87, he was using
Oh, I
fucking,
see. Gotcha.
that's a urethane ball in 87,
Right.
man. He did that when the fucking, dude, I don't know if you know bowling or whatever, but I don't know. If you do, I fucking hate two-handers. Not personally. Two-handers, the guys that used to,
Oh, no, that's not how you bowl. You two
It's
hands. You need one.
disgusting. They should have their own league like trans people, right? They should have their own league like trans people.
I wouldn't go that far, but
No, it is. It should, because the power, they have too much power. So you see two-handers all the time and all these one-handers, and a lot of people are like, I'm so fucking good, but I can't keep up because their power is too much. They need their own thing.
gotcha. Segue
Anyway,
into merchandising, Junkyard bowling ball.
Yes, I would do it. I would have fucking
With that-
said
with
that
a
5
spade in
years
the
ago
middle.
if you had hired me. Dude, I would have had a whole gay line. Yeah, I would have had male thongs from Junkyard. Anyway, okay. See, junk on the front,
Yeah, there you go.
yard on the back. That's kind of funny. Just thought of that. Anyway, where were we?
think
First
we're
album.
the-
First album.
Yeah, first album. So yeah, we recorded it, and it got Baker and Earl. I was there when Al Cooper laid down the keys. I was there when
Wow.
Earl Slick did the slide. It was fucking. I was there when Dwayne came in from Molly Hatchet. He laid down some guitar parts, some flourishes. I mean, it was neat. None of us we knew the names, and we knew that there was going to be other people to help out the record, but we didn't really know like they were going to be pulling from that talent pool. We thought like, oh, they're going to get like, a local guy, nobody ever heard of. It's like, oh, fucking Earl Slick to play slide? Yes, of course.
Jesus
Absolutely.
Christ.
Here you go. And it was fun to be in the studio, because at that time
By the way, we're talking.
we were
about
doing a
the
lot of guitar stuff, but it was
top left
mostly
album.
they had just stopped mixing and or they just started they were just doing the layering, guitar layering, so it was like pretty much almost done. So it was neat, and I had nothing else to do, and the studio was open every day, and there was always dinner every night. So I think we all, even mixing, like when we mixed the first album, Metallica was doing the Black album, the album with Bob Rock. They were doing it in the big studio where it took them a long time, and we were mixing in a small room about the same size as this, and but every day we would go in there because
Are we talking about the first album?
Yeah. We were mixing when Metallica was recording. We were mixing.
That would have been Justice, wouldn't it?
Justice, yeah. It was the one with the really bad bass drum sound where it sounds just like
Where there's no bass.
the bass drums just sounds
The bass drums. I'm
a
sorry.
hammer-
I thought
a
there's
hammer on a
no
piece of
bass.
plastic.
There's no Jason.
No, there's no bass. That's too much cocaine.
Well, there was a lot of stuff. Yeah, people have all the things. Well, they were kind of.
I can attest
there's
the
all kinds of stories about
the amount
that,
of
but
cocaine
anyway.
that was done there. There was way too much
I
cocaine.
can imagine. Oh, I can totally fucking imagine. But I mean,
And there's bitter people, mean people. The Metallica was
people
Metallica
still
people were
suffering from the
mean,
death
man.
of a friend. They were still
They were.
I'm not saying they
cocaine
weren't
mean.
mean. I'm
They were
not.
pissed at the world. I don't know what their deal was. I mean, every time we ran into them or their people in the hall, because it was like, at that studio, unfortunately, you had to run into people on the way in and out. It was a one way in, one way out. And we ran into, I would say Clay ran into Lars quite a few times on purpose, because it just, for some reason, Clay and Lars Ulrich just did not get along. And Clay would just be like, "The fuck is up with you, dude? Like, why are you opening the door?" And Clay, for all intents and purposes, Clay is the badass Junkyard motherfucker that he was. He was the legit guy. I mean, Clay, he lived a hard life. He was an amazing individual, but when it comes to messing around, Clay did not mess around, and he did not tolerate anybody that messed around and that fucked with him or anything. It was Lars got a door in the face because of Clay. So, and he deserved it. And Clay, and Lars was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." It's like, fuck off.
Fuck
like,
yeah, that's gonna be a clip.
We're in the same studio together. It's like, dude, it's like, let's just share the fucking door.
I think almost everybody on the planet wants to throw a door into Lars.
Yeah. Well, hopefully maybe he'll get.
And I am a Metallica fan. The funny part is I understand all the people that bitch about Lars, but he also is. He's done some fantastic things for music, for sure.
Oh yeah, he's done fantastic for music, for people. I mean, but back then I think back then, unfortunately, when I think about it back then, I mean, God, is 23, 24 years old. Lars, I think, was the same age or whatever. Clay actually, it was weird because back then it was weird for me and David and Brian, because Clay and Chris were older. They were like, 8 years older. That's a big difference. They were in their late 20s. We were in our early 20s.
Oh, I didn't realize he was a bit older.
Yeah. I think Chris, born in, and then
no,
Todd,
Chris I knew was a little
Chris.
bit, but I thought, I didn't realize Clay was, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So it was, it was interesting seeing their take on, people, and neither of those guys would put up with any bullshit from anybody. They didn't give a fuck who they were. If you're going to be an asshole, fuck off. We don't care.
Yeah. And I understand but
and Clay would take on he would take on anybody. It didn't give a shit. I saw him take on the whole entire security detail at the Akron Agora Ballroom because there was a miscommunication regarding a billiards ball, and he beat the fuck out of a security guard. So he's he's the real deal. We're not. I mean, we're wimps compared to him. God.
Your video's chopping up a little bit, but your audio is cool.
Gotcha. Try setting again.
But what was I? Oh, but as much as I am totally with you when it comes to that stuff of Metallica, I do have to say that they are the band that I've seen the most. I think nobody tops. Well, besides. Friends, local bands that I've seen, 15 times. But when it comes to, bands like you guys and the bands that we've been talking about, Metallica I've seen 6 times. You guys 3.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw Skinnerd because I don't consider that Skinnerd. I was, the real Skinnerd. They left us in '77. We were talking about I did mention the Rosington.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Shit. What was the other thing? What was I saying? Lars. What was the point I was trying to fucking make? What was I doing? Oh, they're the ones that I've seen the most, and
right. Yeah.
It's not like I feel like I mean, dorked out, where I've watched, a year and a half of the life of Metallica. I was one of the, your video's still a little squirrely.
Yeah, I've got it down to the lowest setting.
Wonder what's going on.
This thing, it's happened, like I said, this has happened a few times with
is it because it's warm in there?
No, I wish. I mean, like I said, I'm connected at a
now your sound
gig.
Now your sound's starting to get squirrely. But now you're not talking, so I can't tell.
Let's see. Test 1, 2.
Audio sounds fine. Yeah, you're coming. It seems like you're coming back. But like I was one of the first like right there to buy because I was into that's how I wanted to get into this. That's what made me think of this was when it comes to live shit. When it comes to everybody talks about like Eddie Trunk. I listen to Eddie Trunk once in a while, and then I have to turn him off. And, it's like one of those things where I listen to him for like a month, and then I'm like, I'm done. And I only do YouTube clips. I don't have XM or whatever. But anyway, what was the fucking point with that? What was live to when because sometimes he always does those lists about live albums and whatever, and and every time anybody does any of that kind of shit, I'm one of those people that throws in, hey, what about the text? What about the ballroom, the Junkyard '89 thing that's mislabeled on YouTube that says '98? Because that is because dude, I can't tell you because the reason that I love that so much. Not only is it sounds fucking great, it's killer. It's fucking killer. There's a few feedback moments, but whatever.
Sure.
It's a fucking club. It's just like when I first saw you guys do you remember when the Summers on the Beach show was? Was it 91 or 92? It was the 6s, 7s, and 9s. I'm sorry.
Oh, that would have been 1991.
A1A, Fort Lauderdale, A1A.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale.
That was Clay was gone at this point. It was Todd.
That would have been 91. Yeah.
It was not. It was so. Would it have been before the Skinner thing run or after?
It could have been during. It could.
Or during.
Were we by ourselves?
You guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have went off by ourselves or something.
Yeah, It wasn't. Yeah, because it was too small. It was. Skinner couldn't have played that place.
Oh, it was the
Summers. It was a club on A1A in Fort Lauderdale, and I went back there one more time. I had just moved to Fort Lauderdale because I left here in Maine. I'm a Mainer, but I moved first to Florida for 11 years, and then Nashville for a couple, and then LA for 17. But I used to be in this house. Like this is where I didn't discover you guys here because we moved out of this house in '87, started renting it out. And I discovered you guys in '89, of course, when the first album came out. Rip Magazine was a help. I saw you in Rip Magazine. I saw their review, which was great, which I can't remember total what it said, but it was a good review. And then my buddy Alan King had the album. He bought it just because he would just go buy shit at Strawberries. Remember when all the music stores had fruit names? Like it was Strawberries. I moved to Florida and it was Tangerines.
Out here, like, peaches.
peaches. Yeah. It was fucking weird. Like, wait, are we trying to say that music's gay? It's all fruit.
No, it was the same. It was the same advertising firm.
Yeah,
obviously. They were milking. They were like, let's kill three birds with, let's cash three checks with one word, one concept.
I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about now. God damn it!
Oh, it was Skinner down at the So that would have been 91. That was.
Summers on the Beach. So
we did.
And then that was here, but then when I moved to Florida, there's no chance of me seeing you here. Oh, by the way, Aura in Portland, I tagged them on a post on Facebook to get for shows for you guys. I'm like, Aura,
nice.
Get these fucking guys, man. I know me and Todd will be there. My buddy Todd. I was trying to get my buddy Todd, who's a drummer, like, dude, we should start a Junkyard tribute band. I'll sing, and he goes, because he already does it. He already does a cover band. He already does a cover band. This is before the Lord started. This is a couple of years ago. He's the one that gave me Old Habits Die Hard. The only CD that I had in my fucking Nissan that I drove for a year and a half. That's all I over and over and over and over and over. Anyway, shit. Where were we? Summers. So I saw you guys there after I moved there in 90, late 90, early 91. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but like 2 or 3 months after you guys were there, Murphy's Law, the punk band, was there. And they had a fucking riot, and Summers got shut down.
Wow. No, I didn't hear about that. Wow. Interesting.
And I had gone back about a month after seeing you guys there just to go hang out there on the beach because I lived a little bit in Lauderhill, a little bit farther in. And just to be there and, check out chicks or whatever. And I was like, this place is great. And then all of a sudden they were closed. Like, what? And then it was right after the lead singer for Murphy's Law was on Donahue talking about music shit. It was weird. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So that's where I first saw you, and it was right after Clay was gone and Todd had taken over. And here's
Yeah.
the story. Here's the story that I remember. Not only, 89, the Austin show, which everybody check. I've put the link up in many descriptions of. I'll put it up in this one too. It's so good. I'm gonna watch it now after we're done. But it reminds me of that first show I saw you guys at Summers, and the biggest thing I remember. I don't know what was going on with David that night, and I'm glad Todd's not here because I don't know how I don't know if you remember this, but there was a point where Todd left the stage because David started doing his mosh pit on stage a little bit and banged into Todd a few times, and Todd finally threw his fucking bass down and left the stage.
Oh shit!
Do you remember that?
No, I don't. But I mean, that's happened more than a few times. So
it didn't happen the other 2 times I've seen you. So, but that was also much later at the Viper Room.
We also had we had guitar techs back then. So Todd probably walked off stage and probably somebody handed him a bass. He's like, "Oh, I'm not going out there."
No. What happened? It was almost towards the end of the show, and David was getting a little crazy and was basically
then Todd
bouncing into
like,
Chris,
I'm
just
done.
like in the videos. In the videos, just jumping on everybody, and Todd finally had enough and went, "Fuck this." I think I might have. I don't know if it was in your encore or right before the encore, and he might have come back. I don't remember that part.
That's funny.
I was surprised that I was able to get drunk because I hadn't turned 21 yet, and they were actually selling me alcohol. And I know I'm not saying hey, but I'm actually 52, and I know I don't look it. And I don't know how, because I've been doing this shit a long time trying to put that age on me, but this Michael J. Fox syndrome won't fucking leave.
Consider yourself lucky.
I try to. I know it's going to hit me one day where all of a sudden, boom,
Everything just shits.
Tomorrow morning after I post this and go, hey, everybody, Junkyard, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Wayne just had a stroke. What?
Wait, what was I just saying? I look good, and then I wake up, I have age 40 years.
It is. I'm going to look like Benjamin fucking Button.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, I had to ask you if you remembered that show.
Yeah,
but I know you've had 1,000, a million, more than 1,000.
Yeah, there's been a few.
But that's like
memorable, unmemorable.
But as much as I remember, all that way back, as much as I remember going, because it was kind of like that story I told you about when I first moved to L.A. I didn't have an easy time going around because I'm a small town in Maine, man.
Yeah.
So I go there, and when I would go places alone, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, oh, fuck, a Junkyard. I'm like, wait, this is exactly what the album is like. Bam, bam, bam. And then, the bass player got pissed. This is, fuck yeah. So I'm kind of glad Todd's not here to hear that, because he'd be like,
that's all right.
Yeah, you know what? I remember that. You know what? I'm leaving the band now.
Todd, well, believe me, I can speak on behalf of Todd. He'd probably be like, I did? Okay.
But one of the, I know I didn't say this yet, and I know just another break, but it's still Junkyard. I didn't get into this, but I know I want to say that. But Todd, it's the funny part about Todd being an inspiration from me buying my first bass and playing. It wasn't Todd exactly, but there's a synchronicity with it where my inspiration, my two biggest inspirations were Duff McKagan and Kelly Nichols.
Oh, gotcha.
Kelly Nichols was the original bass player of Faster Pussycat, and Todd's brother Brent. well, before LA Guns,
not original.
But I didn't know that though. But he wasn't my inspiration until LA Guns, because he had to leave Faster because of the bike accident, and then that's when they brought in
right.
And they brought in Tracy. I forget the bass player's name.
Eric Stacey.
But his brother, Brent, is the guitar player for Faster Pussycat, Todd's brother. So then Todd, and then you and Todd, blah, 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 of course. But then there's Kelly, and then with Brent, no Todd, but then, and Faster Pussycat is obviously still and also obviously a fucking influence on me too, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn. And I've always tried to, and I hate it when people, It's tie me down. It's not tame me. It's tie me down. It doesn't make sense the other way. It only makes sense as tie me. God damn it! And especially with all the leather. So anyway, and then of course with Brent Muscat being a guitar player faster, and then of course the brother of Todd. So for me it's a synchronicity, and I fucking love it because it's still the bass. There's still bass involved, and then there's still the Guns N' Roses. Shut the fuck up! I know that. Just a little bullet point I wanted to bring up and throw in your face that you've heard 7,000 times. Where'd you go? I can't hear you. There you are.
I've known Brent. I've known Brent.
What happened to your audio? Went kind of squirrely.
Everything died. My batteries went out.
I've known Brent. I'm sorry.
Since he was 13, something like that.
Say what?
I've known Brent since he was 13.
No shit.
Yeah. He used to come. He used to come to the punk rock shows with us, and he used to go. Where you put somebody on your shoulders or whatever. Brent used to be on top of Todd's shoulders at Black Flag shows, slam dancing around. It's hilarious. It was a little. They were always known as the Muscat Brothers. They would always see him at the punk rock shows. It was little Brent, and then he grew up to be Faster Pussycat. It was kind of cool. It was really neat. He took a lot of shit too. Took a lot of shit for
for looking kind of pretty.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
He's a good guitar player. He's a great kid, still a nice guy. He's a parent, and I think he plays around Vegas now still. Does
Vegas, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that part. Yeah. So that's just, more of the synchronicity. Oh, Jesus Christ, we haven't even, your fucking battery shit's dying. We haven't even talked about psychedelics yet.
We've only been on for 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Oh my God. I swear the last time I looked up, it said 1:45. All right, where am I? All right, I did that rant. Okay, but we're still in the first album. We haven't even got the 6s, 7s, and 9s.
We could. I can kind of.
We can do. We can do a chapter 2, right?
Yeah.
We can always do a chapter 2
or something later. Yeah, like later in the week.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't. I can give you a break from me because I know I'm a lot to take.
But I can.
You can take a little more time.
So wrapping up the first album, I mean, it basically was, we did some touring, and we did a couple videos. We did Hollywood and Simple Man. I think somebody had mentioned they wanted to know where the house was located in the Hollywood video.
Yeah.
That was a house that was tagged for to be demolished, but it was also certain parts of the house were tagged to be demolished. Certain parts of the house were tagged to be moved,
not touched.
So that house does not. That house, half of it, like where I shot my drum stuff, that's demolished, but the other half of the house is in Lancaster now. So they completely lifted up off foundation and moved it a couple weeks after we shot the video there. So it was pretty. It was also guerrilla style. The video cost. We used other people's gear. It was,
so speaking of that video, what David does in that video is what I'm talking about. What he did to Todd and the rest of the guys.
Oh, he broke the camera?
No. When he jumping all over everybody.
Oh yeah.
At the first show that I saw.
Got to replicate the video.
At Summers. Yeah, that's why I was like, oh yeah, that's just like the video.
I was like, fuck you, I got a bad back.
Anyway,
we shot that, and then the second video, the Misery video, we shot at the Spawn Ranch.
Yes,
Manson thing.
Dude,
it was.
I forgot about that. I didn't even mean that to be part of it.
It was also not very.
This is a total whip.
The unfortunate problem with that Simple Man video, looking back on it now, it was a terrible.
The girls.
Terrible video. Awful. It was just a bummer,
When it comes to those videos at the time, it was not at the bottom for sure.
Yeah,
there was fucking way worse. That was okay. That wasn't so bad.
When the documentary comes out, maybe we'll release the
what's funny?
The original cut.
Speaking of Slash, Velvet Revolver's video for Quick She Builds Quick Machines. When I saw that, the first thing I thought of was that video.
Oh wow!
Because except for you guys weren't dressed up like douchebags like they were.
Yeah, the Simple Man. I think what happened with that video is everything was negotiated. The director, the treatment, all the stuff.
I'm still listening.
We were on the road, you know.
I'm still listening. Keep going.
While we were on the road, we we didn't have as much hands on with it as we normally did, and so we let the powers that be run with the video, and unfortunately, you got a video that
It's not
it was
bad.
it was fun to shoot. It was fun to
not
be
that
there.
bad.
Catering was nice.
Oh, the girls. Wasn't there something with one of the girls?
Yeah,
heard?
there is one of the leads in the video was a lead in Melrose Place,
Which
that
one
TV
was-
show. Blonde girl.
And I'm trying to think of the name. I thought you were gonna say it because it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Fuck, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But yeah, the people in the video wanted nothing to do with us. they were hired extras. They didn't even.
Right. No,
When we went up to talk to them, they're like, "Fuck off."
I've been one of those extras, being on one of those things, not knowing who the fucking artist was.
Yeah, it was this time around. It was the extras were like, "Why don't we get a trailer?" It's like, "Who the fuck are you guys?" We're like, "Well, we're the artists." Like, yeah, so what? Like, give us
you
your
know
trailer.
what? You know what? Back in that day, that's what 1989, 90.
That was 89, yeah.
89. So now I'm trying to I got to place the time and the difference with the amount of people from when I did it. So when I did my few extra, the first thing I did as an extra in LA was 5, 6. So there's more people. It's a corporate thing now, and you don't make as much money. So back then, you actually made a hell of a lot more money doing it.
Oh
That was back when extras could actually own a fucking house and do it as a career.
Oh, there's people that I knew that made a ton of dough off of permanent extra work, and then being being like featured extra. That's good money.
Dude, speaking of, again, it always keeps coming back. I didn't mean this. Luke, who I told you, the kid, who I did the thesis film for USC, and then I taught him how to bowl and everything.
Right.
That thesis film that I did with him, the lead from that I played his computer assistant, Brad. That's what he and his wife did.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and then he did starring stuff in USC and UCLA and New York Film Academy films.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And then he ended up on but they had a great life, and they just did extra work. And this was back when it was still good.
Right.
And then he was the bartender on Westworld. If you remember that.
Right. Yeah,
That's Brad.
Yeah.
That's Brad.
Interesting. Oh, wow. Huh.
Sorry, go ahead.
I met a few when after Junkyard broke up and stuff like that. I ended up bartending, so I met a lot of primary extras and a lot of people that had a lot of.
What are you saying? Are you saying they're all alcoholics?
Yeah. Well, the club that I went to, yeah, they better be. I mean, the club that I worked at. If you weren't there, then the wrong place. But and my bar back got a national commercial. Man, he bought a house off of that. And then he got a national commercial for American Express, and that year that same commercial aired in the Super Bowl. Like, they just repurposed the commercial. Whew, good money.
Yeah. I've had those residuals fall in. I've had a few things. I've also had a few really big gigs that fell through the toilet, like you can tell stories of. I was almost I was going to be the voice of Harley Davidson for a long thing, and then like 3-4 weeks before they were going to launch it was a huge campaign in 2010, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And I would have made like fucking $400,000.
Yeah.
With radio, TV, and this was going to be big. And like a month before, they pulled everything, the print, everything. And I went, what the fuck? That was going to change everything. And I had like a bunch of those. And voice wise, I did on camera stuff when I was in LA, but I got to a point where it was a short point. I went to Playhouse West, and I've done stuff, but it didn't take me long to kind of do the Brad thing, where he did the extra thing and then did leading stuff in student films to help them and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I kind of did that, but I stuck with voiceover.
I see.
I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't want an on-camera agent. I don't want to. I'm sick of this shit.
Right.
I like being able to make the same amount of money in 45 minutes at home.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
So and then I would just do that stuff. That's how I got blah blah blah. But what was the point? There was a point to that. I'm sorry, I lost it again. Must be this shit. Must be.
Yeah. Right.
It must be the DDOG.
Little dabble, do you?
The extra stuff, or there's just the pay, and now. So I remember being all excited about. Now it was the voice stuff. So I stick with voice, and there was a bunch of things I almost had a bunch of those gigs. But anyway, so I was, I'm SAG-AFTRA, but I haven't paid my dues in 5 years because a long time ago I realized it's a corporate bullshit, and the people that are saying that they're fighting for us are actually taking orders from the corporate thing to go no, because we were supposed to strike a bunch of years ago to avoid this strike,
Right.
and we all 95% across the country, and the guy Alan whatever douchebag that was the president at the time went, yeah, no, we're not going to do it. And that's why the deal is such shitty that they're striking about now. And they put up with it for all these years. And that's why I went, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because you're all corporate horseshit. The unions used to be good. Not anymore. Now they're all they've taken over just like everybody else. Anyway, woo.
Yeah,
Again, there's that soapbox. Sorry. So, yeah, you want to do a chapter 2?
Yeah. Well,
Because you had so much fucking fun in 2.5 hours.
Wrap up 89. It was fun. It was real. It was real fun. And then 91 happened, and everything shit the bed for me. But
and I jumped. Yeah, and I jumped ahead.
That's definitely in the second episode.
That's gonna be great.
Actually, who can I get for that era? I might have somebody come on with me. Maybe I'll bring my own drum tech, because my old drum tech, he's never done one of these before, so it would be fun to have somebody that definitely had firsthand knowledge and somebody who's never done a podcast before, because he could talk about the actual recording of the second album, because he was there with Clay.
That'd be fucking great. Absolutely, dude.
And
Absolutely.
he's not working right now because he's a set carpenter, so he's got time.
So he's got even other stories that don't even involve that. Yeah.
Right now.
No, that'll be great. So I like to keep. I want to keep this at 2:30. So we're just gonna do what they say in the earpiece. What's the word? Shit, my ex-wife used to know that. What is it when they tell you, oh, don't go to keep going until we tell you to go to break? What is it called? Fill or whatever.
Oh, filler.
But in that filler, not really filler, because we don't do filler around here. So we're gonna have to get. So you played how many times you play the whiskey?
Honestly, to tell you the God's honest truth, prior to Junkyard's first time ever playing the whiskey was 2012. We never played the whiskey back in the day. We never played the Roxy. We never played the Sunset Strip.
Dude,
never.
I played the whiskey before you.
Well, not before me.
2010. 2010.
Before Junkyard. I played the whiskey.
Oh shit.
Years ago.
Okay, like I said, Junkyard. Yeah, I played whiskey before Junkyard.
It's really funny with Junkyard.
It's a joke. It's my daughter was part of a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, so basically we get lumped in with the Sunset Strip bands.
Yeah.
The only thing we had to do with the Sunset Strip was our record label was there. That's
right.
it. Otherwise, we used to go to the Rainbow like how you went during the day. We would go during the day because our record label would take us there. Other than that, I mean, the Whiskey and the Roxy, we never went to those clubs. We never played those clubs. We would go there like if a certain band was doing a showcase. I think I went there when I was in Junkyard when the Replacements did a showcase. Yeah. But other than that, we were like, it was for us. Sunset Boulevard kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Once you hit the Coconut Teaser, that was it for us. It was and that was La Cienega. We never went. We couldn't afford to go west.
That's why you guys still have soul.
That's why we left it. Yeah, we have soul. We couldn't afford. We couldn't afford to get into the.
Again. That's why you guys have soul.
Yeah, true.
Notice how everybody that can't afford shit has soul.
Yeah.
Keeps their soul. Doesn't sell it. That's one of the other things I've said about you guys 1,000 times. They didn't get big and bloated, and that's why I still love them. Yes, they don't make the money that they should, but that's one of the things why they still, even the new stuff still sounds like it's still Junkyard. It's not like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
What is that? Because there's some of the bands that did their thing and they come back like that's not what I remember. Kind of like the nothing against the Skinner tribute band, but stuff that they recorded in the 90s and the 2000s that I go, that's not nothing fancy. That's not.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? Stop doing that. No offense to them, because Rosie, at least Rosie, I hardly even know it.
Skinner wise, I never listened to anything.
Post Street Survivors.
Post night, because I listened. I mean, when we went out with them in '91, I listened to that album.
Of course, yeah, you must have. Yeah, you had to.
That way I know when the end of the show is, because it'll be. But the funny thing is that album. Well, I'm being honest.
No, I know that's why it was funny.
The cue is that last song in the album, and that's the last song of the set. I listened to that album a lot on that tour, mainly because of the people that were affiliated with it,
right?
Recording wise, because it was all it was, for all intents and purposes, it was like a Steve Earle record. It was produced by
who was on 6 and 7 and 9.
Yeah, and it had Steve. It was a lot of the Copperhead Road era studio guys that recorded that Skinner album. I think it was just called 1991.
Right.
But, and then the drummer who actually is a
Damn Yankees.
Let's see. No, different drummer back then.
Hess.
It was Artemis Pyle, but prior to that, they had two drummers on that tour. They had side by side. It was Artemis, and then
I'm sorry. Hess was Rosalind Collins. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they had a guy named Kurt.
I think Hess.
Kurt.
If I might have that wrong, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
The drummer was so it was Artemis on the left side and a guy named Custard on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named Kirk. And they had picked up him from Steve Earle. And to this day, that guy has probably been one of the biggest influences on me drumming-wise. And he's in a cover band that plays in Burbank, and he's a phenomenal fucking drummer, a beast of a drummer. And that was just a gig for him. It didn't last that long. And I think after he did the Skinner tour, he went back out with Steve Earle and then went out with a couple other bands. But yeah, that was a weird era, but for us, it was interesting because we got to see how big business ran on tours. That was our first time playing. I mean, none of us ever stepped foot on a stage like that to play in front of anybody. We stepped a foot on those stages to work, maybe like work backstage or, work the door or something like that. But we never, I think Brian was maybe the only person that had ever been on a stage that big. And the first show that we played was with Skinner was in Memphis with, 27,000 people. We got to play our show. Skinner goes on, and one song into the show, power goes out because some guy was drunk driving, slammed his Camaro into a electrical pole, took out the entire venue's electricity. Next thing you know, our tour manager's yelling, "We got to get the fuck out of here," because they're lighting the lawn on fire. And that was our first show at a major, large thing. And the only thing
Skinner fans.
I was like, wow, what's going to happen at the next show? Like, shit, man, this is insane. Of course, it never got that crazy, but it was pretty interesting. So that playing with them, it was just to see how big business ran on that level was really interesting. It also was interesting for me to see how big business ran on how we ran big business. Because we had to up our game. We had to hire a whole new crew. We had to hire responsible people rather than our friends. Which is there's a perfect quote to end it. We had to hire responsible people because we couldn't hire our friends.
Well, I tell you what, whoever you have now, or your friends or the people, I got to tell my T-shirts because I've done this so many times. What was it? Was it 2 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago. Anyway, I go and I order another one of the Axel ones where it's just the 3 Junkyard strips for people that don't know. I order one and I realize, oh, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? What, I'm gonna have that shipped all the way over to Maine, and why am I ordering only one? So it had been like when I realized that it was like 5 days later, and so I sent the email to whichever the email is from your website thing, going, hey, sorry, I only ordered one. Can I add another one, please? And I got an email back a couple days later saying, yeah, no problem. Well, like a few days later, I get a package, and I'm like, that's pretty heavy. That feels more. That doesn't seem like 2 T-shirts, and I knew it was 3.
Oh, was it really?
And I'm like, fuck, awesome. Well, I'll give one. So I gave one to my friend Todd that I mentioned earlier. Todd, but he's a drummer. Another Todd though. And then I actually emailed him back saying, hey, just to let you know, so your inventory, because I've been part of shipping and receiving and all that shit.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I don't know. I explained. I had ordered one, and then I emailed saying, hey, can I have another? And somehow I think something got messed up where you threw in a third. So just to let you know, so your inventory's not fucked up.
Oh, that's good.
And they went, happy birthday. I went, well.
Oh, she wrote back. Sounds like her. I'm not going to deal with this. Just take it.
So I threw that shot.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's a fun relationship. We laugh when because the inventory is always off, and we're just like, oh well, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah, and the business I'm in now, it's like, wait, how the fuck did that happen? Because there's just weird things that happen, and then of course people get generous because they want people to come back.
Of course, yeah.
So that's why I'm expecting that last 35 anniversary shirt.
As soon as they're printed.
If anybody deserves that, well, you said there was one left. I think I deserve that motherfucker.
I'm talking about that's the tour shirts from this last year.
Right.
We made those tour shirts. We got something left. There's something in the.
I also want a hoodie, a large hoodie.
Because it's cold.
Yeah. I'm in Maine. Remember, I'm in Maine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys get nailed with everything.
I can't use it. I can't. Geez. And the funny thing is and that will make it perfect. When I do have a Junkyard hoodie, that's when I'll know. When I go and do my next mushy trip, I always have to have a hoodie like Elliot.
Nice. There you go.
Dude, we didn't even get to psychedelics. Oh, we're gonna have another great 3 hours in a couple.
The
of
next
weeks
time,
or whatever.
perhaps I'll be on psychedelics.
Oh yeah. You got to let me know, so we have to do it together. You got to let me know beforehand. Don't surprise me.
Real stoned, that's all.
My own
psychedelic. I'll pop a hashtag or something.
Hey now, I've got in my fridge. I have normal mushy already, which the last few times, because I talk about mushy so much, people think I do it all the time. I only do it once a year or every year and a half.
Right. Yeah.
That's all you really need.
Yeah.
But they assume this shit. At the moment, I have the regular to make into tea. Tea it hits faster, and it tastes not so bad. And you can have a little bit more to make sure it's a heroic dose.
Is that legal up there yet, or no? Is it still, or is it?
It's kind of leaning.
Ticket,
but surprisingly enough, I didn't realize, as much as I hated Maine when I first left in 1990. They've actually been one of the leaders in all the good stuff when it comes to cannabis, hemp, and psilocybin and yeah. They're not.
That's okay.
It's pretty wild.
That's pretty. Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is I have 2 chocolate bars in my fridge that are an eighth a piece of Penis Envy, and they're these pretty decent chocolate bars, and there's 1/8 a piece. So, and a heroic dose is 5 grams. So. Yeah, we'll go to, but no, we can't do that. You can't have the cameras on when you're tripping.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But we might have to arrange somehow where, well, my daughter lives in Hermosa Beach.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You're not that far, right?
Hour, Hermosa Beach with traffic, hour and 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's Hermosa Beach for everywhere.
That's for everybody, yeah.
That fucking place. I'm like, it's a beautiful mile, but.
Yeah.
You're stuck. Don't. Yeah, if you're trying to.
It's not Huntington Beach, where all the white supremacists are.
Anyway, oh my God.
Let me take that comment back. I should say, and that's my punk rock past creeping into me.
Right.
Back in the day, there used to be
it's an older reference.
Now it's not. Now there's no skin. A very good friend of mine lives down in Huntington Beach. An amazing fucking drummer, Scott. So,
Travis?
Scott Shirella, who plays with, he used to play with Reverend Horton. He'd actually was on the boat.
When I said Travis, I meant Scott Travis. But
Rose Tattoo.
Oh, Rose Tattoo. Bringing it all the way back to Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. We saw them on the boat. They were on the Monsters of Rock cruise. They were phenomenal. Great 2 shows.
That would be, oh man, if I went on one of those where you guys was on that. I've been on a booze cruise before, but if I was on a cruise where you guys were one of those, I would call it the blues cruise.
It's it's pretty. I think next time we do it, whenever they ask us back, I'm sure we will do it when they ask us back. But this last time, first time we did it was fun. The second time we did it was a lot more fun. I think also it helped having Todd, because Todd Muscat couldn't make it on the first one. He was working, and this time around he made it. So it was more of a band camaraderie. Normally, the bass player that fills in for Todd is the bass player from the Choir Boys. So he's an old friend of ours.
You're all invited to a sex party.
Yeah, right. he's I can't remember which version of the Choir Boys he's in, like the 85th or 86th version or whatever.
Spike and who? Spike.
I mean, I love all those guys to death, and I just wish they would just fucking be in one band.
Oh, dude.
Just get back together and play, but whatever.
I swear to God, we got the same blood. I love it. So, all right, I'm going to let you go now. Wait, do I have anything I do want to touch before we split? All right, I did that, but now because we're going to come back, I just kind of want to get straight that what did I get to, what I didn't get to. All right, and then I want to scroll to where I have the right shit so I don't. All right, I told you the T-shirt story, and oh, that's right. Did I say anything about the hoodie?
Yeah. Somebody over there took down an order. So yeah, we have his address.
Dude, you guys share all the podcasts you're on, you show all the stuff. I guarantee you, this is going to be the favorite. Every fucking Junkyard fan is going to say, this is the greatest podcast any member of Junkyard has ever fucking done. There have been some great ones. I've watched almost every motherfucking one of them. They're all going to say this is the best, and they're going to go, there's going to be a part 2? No, there's going to be a part fucking 3, motherfucker. There might be more
than part 5.
And you know when the part 3 is going to be when Aura says, hey, let's book Junkyard. Yeah, dickhead.
Nice.
And I'm going to sell a whole bunch of weed to maybe throw into how to get you guys to Maine.
In a smoking group, me, you, and Jimmy James.
Dude, he's the only one. The 2 times I saw you guys at the Viper Room, he was the only one I talked to. I said hey to Todd. You were busy. And, I said hey to David, but that's only because where the fucking green room was, and I was lined up for the pisser, and he came to get in the green room. Hey, Dave. That's the only interaction I've had with Dave. But Jimmy's the one I've talked to the most.
Jimmy's always out and about. He's always looking.
He's so cool.
Looking to light up.
He is so cool. Does he still do stuff with the Super Suckers?
Hangman.
Hangman. That's right. Sorry.
He's going to be on the road. He leaves. He's leaving soon. I think in a couple of weeks he's going to Europe. So he'll be gone with the Hangman all of September into October. That's right. He's gone for like 5 weeks.
Fucking A, dude. That guy, dude, oh man, I'd like to spend I'd just like to spend 6 hours talking about all the stories he has. That's super, dude. If there's another one like you guys, they're a little bit below because you guys are kings to me, and I like the Super Suckers, but but they are fucking, dude. People, I swear, whenever somebody comes into my home, which is not very many because people are slobs. And I'm a OCD little cunt. Stop fucking. Coasters. There's a fucking coaster. Anyway, A lot of times my YouTube thing has Junkyard going. It's Skinner, Skinner, Junkyard, AC/DC going, right? And then and in between there, some super suckers will come up and they'll be like,
nice.
"What the fuck is that?" And I go, "Yeah, you better listen, bitch. This is some fun shit, man."
Suckers are great. Love the Suckers, man.
Hilarious too. The humor. You guys got the humor. That's one of the things with the Skinner thing. I know I'm supposed to fucking cut this. I know we're supposed to we'll go on, and I'll say it again. But that's one of the things I got to say it. I got to finish at least part 1, chapter 1, because it's a book. Fucking David, man. His fucking lyrics, dude. It talk about a Ronnie Van Zant Jr. or like, it was like a little split and it's just a little bit dirtier, just like me. Like in radio, I wanted to be there was Rick and Suds. It was a duo, right?
That name's familiar, yeah.
They were it was a Miami show, and the joke was that Suds didn't. The reality was Suds had no kids. He was him and his wife. They didn't have any kids, and everybody, all the fans knew it. But when I started and I was part of their show, I started making the joke that he was my dad, and he went along with it. And there's many stories I could tell you, and I've told it before. Fucking hilarious. But all I ever said was in radio, after I decided, no, I don't want to be a rock jock and play the same shitty songs all the time, because it was early 90s, so when it turned to shit, it started turning to shit. It's really shit now. All I said when I got into talk radio, I just want to be a young, dirty Suds, and that's how I won my award that I mentioned earlier. Nice. Excellent. Being the wise ass while somebody else did all the driving.
Right.
I was the sidekick. What was the fucking point? What was the point? Suds. No, I know this is going to be a good finish. The Suds. Oh, me saying that, and it was a reality. I just wanted to be a young, dirty Suds. To me, David is a young, dirty Ronnie.
Pretty much, yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Fuck. Goddamn right it does. This is the Waiting Interest podcast.
Or a 58-year-old at this point.
But that's the thing. He lived. See, remember the differences I said before about those things? But they lived, and then, But David's a version of Ronnie that didn't die in a plane crash.
Right, yeah.
But if you take the same amount... those first 5 albums of Skinnerd, and you take the Junkyard stuff, and you go, dude, that's a fucking that's a young, dirty Ronnie.
Yeah.
And the music too, but the other flavors, AC/DC, Motorhead, and not Guns N' Roses. The Guns N' Roses thing is more like the look and the attitude in that time. It's all, to me, it's all Motorhead, Skinner, and AC/DC. It's all kinds of things to you and a lot of other shit. But to me, that, like I said before, I'm fucking spinning and I'm talking in circles now, but you know what I'm saying. I'm such a goddamn
Those are the 3
dork.
primaries, definitely.
I am such a dork. But that's where the psychedelics come in, where we'll talk about in chapter 2, where that's why all these synchronicities that we start to notice. That's the fucking reason. They're always there, but the synchronicities are what help us go, whoa.
Yeah.
If we're paying attention.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, dude, fucking A.
Right on,
Whip
man.
119, part 1, Junkyard part 1. And so this, not only do we want, dude, when you show this to everybody, David's going to come on. I'm going to finally get to talk to David besides saying, hey, nice to meet you. I got to piss.
Right on.
Anyway, dude, it's been a fucking blast.
Pleasure.
And you're going to
do this. Yeah. We shouldn't say goodbye because we're doing it again. So
yeah, we're not saying, this is not goodbye. This is the end of chapter 1 with Junkyard, Whip 119 with Pat, and there's going to be more. Tim will probably be, I know Tim's coming for this one. Tim's going to be here. He's going to say, what the? Chris is going to go, hey, I want to talk with this guy about his drinking.
yeah, right.
And Brian's going to go, hey, what'd you say? Because I have to show off my glasses because Pat showed his off. I got to come on and show my glasses, and I really like the way Wayne talked about the way I play guitar.
There you go.
Because I saw him on The Edge when he was right after he joined Bad Religion. was one of their first shows. It was The Edge in Fort Lauderdale. And I was that fucking dork that didn't know that Bad Religion didn't do encores. And I'm hammered at the front of the stage, and they bam, bam, bam. Then they leave, and then all of a sudden the roadies are picking everything up and going, where's the encore? I turn around, everybody's gone.
Like, oh, well.
Like, I'm this drunk douche. Anyway, right. Oh, I got to hit my close music. All right. So, thank you, Pat. You are the fucking shit. I already knew you were the shit, but you just fucking proved it to the internet. All right. So, where are we going? We got the music? Yes. That was fucking awesome, and there's going to be chapter 2. Watch James Corbett, Corbett Report, Jimmy Dore Show, Russell Brand, Kim Iverson, Glenn Greenwald, and the Revolutionary Blackout Network. But look for yourself. I'm just a fun babbling lecturer, dabbler. Remember, Raul Neo, a.k.a. Juan. Sorry, ran long. Had to bump comedian Christina Pazinski. Thanks, Gary. Daddy fucking loves you.
Messing with my peoples.
And I love Pat. And